call a meeting to order at 6:02, maybe. This is a public meeting being video and audio recorded by cable broadcast and internet posting on www.dayton-mass.gov. If they'd all stand and pledge allegiance to the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. First order of business to reorganize the board. At this time, either the clerk or I can declare all offices vacant. And so, I will do that. And, basically, we're looking for another chairman and clerk. So, anybody interested in being chairman? Any nominations for chairman?
Can we keep it the way it was?
We can.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to nominate Tom Byers as chairman.
Second.
Okay,
Is Tom okay with that?
Yeah, you were right.
yeah, I'm okay with that. Nomination is made and seconded to, appoint Thomas Byers as chairman of the board. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And I will, nominations for clerk of the board,
Want it?
I can't do it.
I'll do it,
so.
yeah.
Alright, switch it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I know it's
At least
easier
we'll
with
switch
the
it
sound,
up,
so-
I'll nominate Kevin to be a clerk.
Okay. Well, I'll have to step down and second it then. You okay with that? Okay.
I'll be the member this year.
And you will be the member, that's what's left, so.
Oh, we gotta vote.
We gotta vote on the appointment of clerk, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's,
Do I make a motion for Matt to, as the member, or just that's what it is,
It,
right?
just falls into
Yeah.
place, I think.
Okay.
Jim Aguirre was supposed to be here.
He didn't make it back from his inspections yet, so I don't know if we just put that down the agenda a little bit. I know he is trying to get here, but he didn't make it back to the office.
Okay, so we'll hold off on public input, because there is something we need to, that he wanted to discuss, so. Okay, new business, number 6. Review, discuss, act, emergency preparedness recommendation to restructure the committee. What ended up happening, we originally had 5, and if you recall, it went to 7. And we were working with 7 and subsequently on the resignation of Jack Taylor. We had 6, so now we're back to where we were in the beginning, to reorganize for a 5 or 7 member board.
We have the email from Mallory where she was requesting the board to,
Yeah, it was, I think, the Board of Selectmen still to date has not appointed anybody to this, right?
No, I thought they did. We were a 7-member board right now.
Still.
Yeah, right, cause they haven't changed anything.
I don't think the Board of
No.
Selectmen appointed one of the,
no, they haven't. What the town administrator asked was that you, the Board of Health and Emergency Preparedness Committee, discuss going back
Well, let
to
me
a
read it.
5-member committee.
this came from the town administrator. Have you ever drafted a memo or submit to the Board of Health regarding the Emergency Preparedness Committee's vote on removing a member of the Board of Selectmen from the committee? So actually, this should come from the Emergency Preparedness Committee.
Behind it is the minutes when we voted to do that. There was a brief discussion and then the board voted.
Okay.
And you also
At
just.
the Emergency Preparedness meeting of Thursday, May 3rd, motion by Thomas Byers, second by Chief McGee, and voted to recommend to the Board of Health to revise the committee to 5 members. So it's kind of formality kind of thing. If we were back to where we were, I think Jim Aguirre will be a non-voting member. And it would come back to 5 of us if that's what we think we wanna do as the Board of Health.
Who are the members right now?
It's at the top of that.
The next piece of paper.
Yep. Police chief, fire chief.
Myself, fire chief, police chief, Todd Pilling, Thomas Ferry, that was the original 5.
That's pretty good right there, that's all the disciplines that have to be involved.
Yeah,
So-
and the non-voting were, Building Commissioner Jim Agia, Town Administrator Mallory, and of course Clerk Roslin. So the 5 primaries were myself, Chris McGee, Bob McDonald, Todd Pilling, and Tom Ferry.
Yeah.
So I would entertain a motion to set the Emergency Preparedness Committee at the 5 members just stated.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, motion made and seconded, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Mr. Chairman,
Oh.
Just what?
if you would, I need to be upstairs for 6:30, if you could consider doing a C and F while I'm here.
Which one?
C and F under 6.
Okay, let's, we'll move on to C.
I'll trade. Thanks.
Review, discuss, and act transfer station incident.
I don't know, took a telephone call and left.
Oh, okay, do you wanna do the next one?
Do the next one, sign F first.
And that is,
2128 Pleasant Street, complaint.
Are we doing F?
Yeah.
Okay.
See
So
if
you
Tim's
leave it?
not here? No, he's not.
Here's the, I
Oh,
thought he was not here, okay. Move on to F. Review, discuss, and act at the 2128 Pleasant Street complaint. We've had ongoing complaint regarding trash behind the house at 2128 Pleasant Street, in the railroad bed, which subsequently has found that that's private property. And Thomas, go ahead if you wanna talk to this.
After the email was forwarded to me, I went out there and inspected. I found the small pile of debris in question, a mattress and a few other items underneath.
Yeah.
There is no way it came off of a vehicle easily, if at all, from Main Street, because that area, that laneway is blocked, and from Muddy Cove, there's too many trees down, so it definitely did not happen this winter.
Right.
That pile has been there for quite a while. I mean, you can tell it's aging and whatnot.
Yeah, Todd and I went out and looked at it also,
And as far as the
and,
town's responsibility or response, I mean, we could work with the property owner. Originally I was thinking of offering to help block off the Muddy Cove lane with permission with the landowner, but there's no need to with that many trees down.
yeah, there's a 10-inch tree across
Right.
the bed
And,
over there.
and is it Board of Health or the town of Dayton's responsibility to clean up someone else's property? I don't believe so, so that's where we are now.
Yeah, we just spoke about this a moment upstairs with the town administrator, Thomas and myself, Thomas and Thomas. And, I recommended and she agreed that we send a notice to the present owner of record, ask him to clean it up, even though he probably didn't even put it there, but it is on his property, so, and hopefully he'll do it. So we can, if someone would make a motion to send the owner of record to the railroad bed behind 2128 Pleasant.
And that is his property then?
No, that's not the complainant's property.
No,
It's someone else.
No,
He sees it from his yard.
Okay.
the owner of record is Northeast Clean Energy Corporation, 306 Winthrop Street. I went down there on the way here, and I saw no such business at 306 Winthrop Street, but it could be hooked with another company out there, so.
I make the motion to send the letter to the owner of record to clean up the rubbish on his property.
Second.
Okay, motion made and second to send a notice for cleanup to the owner of record, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right,
I'm gonna see if he's up there.
Todd's not
Todd's
going.
not.
Todd's not.
no, that's all right. I'm gonna go to the fellow that's sitting here and, so we can get him.
Oh, he's
moving.
coming in.
He's coming?
Mhm.
Okay, we'll do C then. We had well, not a complaint, but a concern from our transfer station attendant about an incident that he had up at the transfer station on June 30. Pertained to an individual, Tim, his license indicated Rainham.
They checked it. Check indicated Rainham. I didn't ask for registration for vehicle because he did have a sticker from the town of Dayton, so someone did register this gentleman's vehicle, so it must be a vehicle from town. The incident that happened was that, came in, he had believe it was a mattress or a box spring and 2 mattresses. He was charged as such. He had other materials on the vehicle and said that, I told him that the other part of his load would be $10. He said, I'm not paying for that. No one else has ever charged me for that under this. He says, this has only happened when I've worked, and I've worked with this gentleman, this is the second time this has happened. And he said the same thing. I wasn't gonna argue with the gentleman. He decided to speed off in front of me with other people in the transfer station. I held up, please slow down, and I got the almighty wave.
Yeah.
So, and I just decided just to, instead of, exacerbate the situation, just, do what he needed to do. It's a black Chevrolet pickup, license plate I did not get. And, he's been in more than once and used a check for the town of Rainham. It was the other time he came in, the first time he also used the check for someone from a
Yeah.
residence of Rainham.
So, so it's possible it's illegal use of landfill.
And, the point that I wanna make is that
Is the sticker affixed to the window?
yes, it was, it's fixed directly above his registration sticker, I'm sorry, his inspection sticker.
Okay.
It's fixed right above it, because that's where the other attendants asked it to be, that way it's easy to see when you come out of the booth that you can tell that someone has a sticker. If they have just recyclables, you just wave them on and they just go do their thing. If there's anyone that comes in with a trailer or any other type of load, you always ask. 99% of the time I always do, registration, that way you can just match up whatever it may be, but there's nothing in a database that registrations are typed into, or some type of a computer system where you're sitting there as an attendant where you can just look on and say, hey, so-and-so's behind, they haven't paid, or, you can just marry up the registration with what's on, some computer type log of some sort.
Now, you didn't get his plate number, but did you get a sticker number?
No, I did not. That was my neglect.
'Cause I'd like to see what kind of an address he used when he first got the sticker, either here or up the transfer. I mean, we can research it, but it'd be.
Sure, you research
It'd
the
be
state,
easier
yeah.
to,
Through the street list or some
Yeah,
sort.
we'll have to look into that. I mean, he could be a landlord too, and that's another problem.
And there was another check that came in Saturday with somebody from Middleborough on the check. So this isn't the only person, so, that we have this issue with. So they could've just moved to town and not updated the checkbook yet, I'm not trying to,
That could be part of the issue,
But-
I agree
And
with that,
it-
yes, that
and-
could be.
but we don't say the check has to be a Dayton check.
What was part of the discussion though, we don't have the partial load no more on the price scale.
Correct, only the partial load that's on the bottom of the pay scale itself, only reflects for metal loads. It doesn't
Yes.
reflect for any other
Somehow-
type of load.
Somehow when we added it, we lost it, so we're gonna have to redo it.
So we can update that, we should.
Right.
Yeah. So that way the
It'll
residents
be
know also
clear
that.
for handout and whatnot.
Cause I told the gentleman I would go
Are these
in.
on the website? These are
Yeah.
on the website, right?
Except for the partial load, right?
Well, I don't remember ever taking that off, so, cause it,
Seems
what
like
was
a-
it,
A
a half
partial is only
load was
$10?
10?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and-
partial was only
Vehicle.
$10.
It's not worth doing what he did.
Yeah.
I mean, the load is the load, it's for the other bulky items, but there's, I mean, any of the other items listed there, there's a reason why we charge more, because it costs the town more to dispose of it, so.
And that was the issue the gentleman said to me, he said, I'm only gonna pay for the items that's listed on the sheet. And I said, well, there is a place where it's full load or a partial load.
Well, there's-
But then again, it only reflects on metals.
Well, it's construction debris and metals are the two choices
Right.
for half load and partial load and, full load.
Only for metals.
Or construction debris.
And the other items he had were a couple of lamps and some other small things. The other issue too is still getting a lot of residents that do come in with trash bags that are full of items. And I usually ask that individual, please open that bag up so I know it's not generated household waste. If it's not, I ask them to please empty the bag out into the dumpster, take your plastic bag with you. So that way, you're not getting a load of full plastic bags where your recycler's coming back and saying, we're getting all these plastic trash bags here that don't belong here, so.
Right, plus it's going to landfill instead of the incinerator.
So do we wanna revise the fee schedule to include miscellaneous debris not on the list above? It's $20 a
I don't think
truckload?
it should,
Or
I'm
up to
only one
$20
person. I don't
truckload.
think it should say construction debris, it probably should just say partial load,
Partial
bulky
load,
items.
yeah.
Or bulky
Bulky
items, I mean,
load.
it could be smashed up.
But that's
toys.
$50 for half a truck. It's $50 for half a pickup truck.
That's construction debris.
Construction.
Right.
Yes.
Needs to be a separate category.
I'm referring to just bulky items, partial load bulky items, it should be
Or
10.
bulky items, okay, we can add that in. Or up to 10, so if it's just a lamp, he can say $1.
And probably should alongside at the tenant's discretion.
We're items not listed above bulky items, or bulky loads, something like that, so that way it clarifies that.
I think we
items
should,
above are-
we'll add that, but I also think we should send this fellow a little notice stating next time he has that behavior in our transfer station, he's gonna be banned,
He did swear at me.
period.
Yeah.
Of course, his witness said he didn't swear at me, but, do you have to have a camera present at all times to record conversations with people you haven't
No.
doing business with? No, you don't. It shouldn't come down to that.
Okay.
The way we're gonna write it, you just have to.
There is another issue that.
Well, I wanna bring it up because we talked about it.
Excuse
did
me one
arise.
second, the bulky item half load is gonna remain at $10 and a full load is 20, did I get that correct?
Right, but
Yeah.
try, right.
Miscellaneous bulky.
But you're not
Is that what we're
subtracting,
calling it?
the construction debris is different.
But that's staying.
We're adding
Okay.
bulky items, not listed above, half load, full load.
That sounds good, bulky items not listed above.
Okay.
Okay, the other one was, somebody came in, he had yard debris, right? Also had a few, plastic items, big plastic items. And the situation went back and forth about the disposal of are they recyclable or not recyclable? Well, to save an argument, the attendant at the time saw that they had the recycling, or whatever you call it,
Logo.
the logo, the recycling logo on it. So, so we'll know what to do in the future, if they have a recycling logo, no matter the size, do we accept it?
The hard plastic toys, no.
Do we have anything for rigid plastic? We don't have that yet, right?
No, there's no market for it, that's the
No
problem.
rigid plastic?
But we don't have that grant, there's a grant.
Yeah, but there's no market.
Yeah.
The grant's only to get the dumpster, yeah.
Well, one of them was a plastic
You can fill up
tool.
your dumpster, then where's it go?
Large
It goes
rigid,
to,
rigid plastic should be
Mid-City
considered
takes that
bulky
too.
items.
They take the plastic.
They're making them out, yeah, they're not, there's no market.
There you go,
Yeah.
large rigid items, rigid plastic will be, bulky.
It's either bulky or you can go for the grant for the roll-off.
No, what about one of those
It
swimming
doesn't
pool, plastic swimming pools?
Do anything for you.
That's what we're talking about, there's no market to get rid of it yet. There is a grant for a roll-off, like he
But there's no
alluding
getting rid of
to.
it.
It can go to Mid-City at least, and there's
Mhm.
another company in Connecticut too.
Yeah. They were giving you what, 5 cents or whatever it was?
You're gonna be paying trucking.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So if it's considered a bulky item, they come in with a pool or
Yeah,
a
it's gotta get-
kid's
that's
little
gotta get
house
on
or.
there.
So
Large
how-
rigid plastic.
So large rigid plastic items will be considered bulky waste?
We could look at that, if you don't mind tabling it, we can check with Kathy Mercer and Tom.
Yeah, I actually spoke to her this
Doesn't even
email
have to
this
be
week, I
large
can
if
ask her
it's a
when that's,
small
I can jump in
rigid
on that one
plastic
again.
toy, right?
The
I
thing
think
is, there gotta be a way to
Like
get
a
rid
little
of it.
picnic table or
But that's the thing,
Yeah,
you
we're
can't fit it in a
We
trash
don't wanna
bag.
add to the
Things,
problem, so.
a bulky item is considered something that can't fit in a trash bag.
Correct. If it's in a bag, it's cheaper and it's supposed to be at the curbside.
Correct.
I could check with
Smash it
Kathy
up and
too.
stuff in a bag, but,
Unless we wanna table this then?
well, part of
the-
it.
That part of it, the bulky.
The rigid plastic, I suggest you table it,
So-
if Kevin's willing to do some homework on it.
Yeah.
Okay, that'd be
Oh,
good.
yeah, I have to talk to her anyway, so, 'cause
Okay.
she had mentioned, she's like, oh, I think you missed the grants, but,
We
call me
did.
and we'll talk about some stuff. So this is a good way to incorporate this.
Make two motions. First motion will be to include the bulky item fee on the transfer station fee schedule as discussed, and to send those.
You mean the half load?
Load, half load, yeah, bulky item. And to send the gentleman who was in violation or a letter, just to remind him of the rules and regulations, and
Well, we have three then.
well, that's, yeah, okay, alright, so we'll do,
Well, tabling the,
yeah,
Rigid.
I'm gonna do three motions.
that wasn't an agenda item, it was just, it came up in discussion, so.
So,
we'll do-
first motion, we'll say to add the bulky item loads onto the fee schedule. Just first
Partial
motion.
load.
Yeah,
Partial and full load.
as discussed, yeah.
Second.
Okay, motion made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Second
Yes.
motion, to send the violator, the person who, had the issues at the transfer station, just a reminder notice of the rules and regulations of the transfer station, and to include the bulky item fee.
Yeah.
We still have.
I think we gotta tell him we've had two incidents,
Yeah.
and the next one, he's out of our transfer station. But in the interim, let's see what he used for an address.
Is it still on that price scale, the illegal use of our transfer station?
What's that, Tom?
Is it still on that price scale, the illegal use of the transfer station?
Yes, $1,000, I believe.
Should be $1,000.
Unauthorized use, $1,000 fine.
Yeah.
To get his attention.
Second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that
Tom,
motion carries.
Tom, before you leave though, while we're tabling that other, recycling, the plastic stuff, what about until we get an answer? In the meantime, when we get something in, we're gonna treat it as bulky waste, I think, we think.
I
I
would say
treat it
so.
as a
You
bulky
can't,
waste.
yeah, it can't
That's
go,
up
you
to
can't
us.
go into Main Street.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
So we can add in a column for bulky items, parentheses, including rigid plastic, $10, $20.
You can do that tomorrow.
And fee is at the attendant's discretion. And we can update that tomorrow, right?
Yeah, it'll
Until we know what we're gonna do with the
Yeah.
rigids.
Yeah.
Okay.
'Cause we might miss the grant, I mean, I think it's gone.
think it
Moving
is.
forward, we can see, but just at least, if we're gonna take it anyways, we can at least get a container for it.
Right.
Yeah, Tom will tell you, there are quite a few items that are in that, mainstream recycling, bin that probably don't belong there that have been taken by the transfer station. And I may have a little bit to do with that, and probably the other attendant too, because people bring in resin chairs and such and other items, and, you know, if it has a recycle sticker on it, just saying, you have to take this, and, you know, if it's not designated as such that where it goes to, then you have to take it, basically, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Mr. Perry.
Good night.
I'll make my third motion to table any further disposal of the rigid plastics aside from as a bulky item until Kevin can do a little research on it.
Is the board all set with me on another meeting?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan.
Okay, motion made, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
No, we're back on B now anyway.
What's he here for?
Are you ready?
He's here for D.
If at all possible, I'd rather not speak unless I really have to,
Alright.
because of how close
Hmm.
I am with him and her.
I can do most.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's
Alright.
better that way.
Yeah, let's do,
Wanna do B though?
B.
Get that out of the way.
let's do D then.
B.
No, B.
Let's go with
Bravo,
B.
we'll get
We
B,
got, we gotta
Bravo
do
out
B.
of the way.
That'll be quick, it's right here.
Yeah.
Okay, review, discuss,
Bravo.
and act to reappoint Marilyn Edges and Sarah LaRue, to our tobacco control coordinator staff, I guess.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
That's for this
She-
fiscal year.
She's doing compliance checks, right? We're
Well,
doing
Yeah.
inspections?
Yeah,
If you
that was
read
what we
her.
had-
Yeah.
No,
last
she's got
meeting.
money up until, for 6 months, right?
Well, she asked if you could even go further. Her request is if the board itself is allowed to, and you want to appoint them longer, it sounded like you could.
Yeah.
Well, let's appoint her for the year and see what happens financially.
Okay, so until.
So it's for a 1 year.
June 30th, 2019.
1 year term.
Yeah. Do we have to amend that? No, that was fine, right?
We could.
Make a motion to appoint, or amend the motion. Can I amend it?
No, it's already passed, let's forget it.
Okay. It's confusing, yeah.
We know what.
We're all in agreement that.
We know what
yeah.
we're doing and,
For-
you
for
know, we
fiscal
may
year
have confused
2019.
everybody at home, but.
So she'll do it all right now.
Yeah, and if the situation changed with grants from the state to fund this, we will do the inspections and,
Then she could do the
period.
compliance, yeah.
Yeah, so,
We can, yeah, if, we could
yeah,
also.
because it's only.
Contract her to do the,
It was
later on, the
cheap.
compliance checks.
We go on to E, since he's still.
Yeah, we'll do E, health
E.
inspection tools.
Oh. What about?
I don't know.
Oh, so, then a couple times we've gone out to different places, and I think we should have some kind of thermometer, in my arsenal for
A
checking
few of them.
temperatures.
Yeah.
I don't have one. Why would I have one?
Yeah, I should, we'll get you, yeah,
Yeah.
auto, I would.
Buy
say.
one.
Then you gotta calibrate
We
it.
didn't buy one?
No.
No, we haven't bought him anything.
It's office supplies.
Really?
Should we add it to the list, or do we wanna go there? How about we just start with I want a thermometer?
Yeah, but you need a couple
Let's
of
start with
different.
I want a thermometer.
I think you need a couple of
You need a
different
liquid,
kinds.
do you need one for the freezer, one for the.
Right, or the infrared or whatever, so it's.
Get
And you
it.
want to stick in the meat.
Yeah, I use just.
Mine's got a laser and a probe on
Yeah.
it.
Laser, that's.
Is that the one that we, oh,
I
that-
have two in my car, a probe and a laser. I don't like using the laser too much, I just verify sometimes, but to check the internal temperature, you use the probe one.
I'm not
And then
sure.
you
We
can
got
always
this
use
and that's what
theirs,
made us
you have
realize
yours, but
there's-
in the, during the inspection, ask them for theirs, calibrate in front of them, so you're showing multiple, you're probing with multiple thermometers, so there's no question if it's over.
right.
But yeah, I would,
I'm
yeah, you
thinking
need
about the
that.
pages
Well,
back
again,
your
and
job.
what he
that's why I'm
needs.
looking for the board to say, yeah,
Buy it.
let's order one.
Do you have everything else, you have, like, out in the field, tape measure, or shovel?
I don't have a shovel, but I have a tape measure.
Yeah.
I brought my own orange vest, cause when I'm in the woods, I like to wear a vest.
Yeah. Yeah, in the back of my truck, I have those boots, cause I do beach inspections, the
But I've seen some of
water-
that to me as some of it's clothing allowance, like the boots and stuff, but like, you know, should we get an orange vest that says Dayton Board of Health on it, maybe, you know, but
Good, if
right
you have a
now.
clothing allowance.
Say right now.
Somebody does the
I
embroidery.
got
Yeah,
a place to
I'm,
get thermometers.
Debbie's.
All I really need
Debbie's
was a
is
thermometer.
that's working on mine, so
Oh, nice.
found the link to
Continue,
use.
right now, thermometer's all I really need, and then we'll work on the rest of it as we get there.
Absolutely.
Like-
Your phone in.
No, we put in the request and we haven't heard from them, but remember, the coalition, they're off for July and August because there's no funding from the state, so we're not gonna hear anything until they get funded again in September. Public
Yes,
health.
that's Coalition for Emergency Preparedness?
Yeah.
I inherited a phone through the employer that was there before, through the coalition, and I finally canceled the service, and I would recommend you stay away from that. Go through the town.
Really?
To get the phone
Yeah.
and have them pay for the bill. I would go that route because it's a mess, cause they don't pay for the bill. They just get you the phone.
Oh, that's it?
And nobody paid the So I had credits
Yeah.
through a coalition, and then all of a sudden, at one point, they said they were sending bills to me, you owe $200 now. And I would send it to the coalition saying, this phone hasn't been used in a year, it's off. And I'd call AT&T, and I wasn't the authorized user, then I had to find the authorized user, and going back and forth. Finally, AT&T dropped it. We had to pay $36, whatever, and dropped it. And I told the coalition, never again. It was the person that does it, Elaine something. I told them, never again, I'm getting a phone.
Is Tom's phone through the town or through his own?
Through the town, because it is budget every year.
That might be what we need.
Cause even when you get the laptops and the other stuff, you gotta provide the service.
Per se, for something.
They only provide
They
the
paid
they
so
only
much
provide that.
towards your bill.
Same thing with the phone.
Well,
But
we got a lot on the
Tom-
agenda, we can come back to the phone, like I said, right now thermometer is all I was looking interested in, so.
They're gonna give you the phone, but you have to provide the service regardless.
I was actually thinking, you were thinking about some kind of app you could put on the computer. That's what I wanted to ask. You've been out in the field for a long time, both of you. Do you do anything electronically as far as inputting on it? No, it's all paper still, huh?
Still do all paper.
Okay.
I've tried 2 different electronic-based inspection forms, and they were garbage.
Yeah, 'cause I was looking at
Pure
them
garbage.
online, and I said, gee, that'd probably be pretty helpful, you just follow it, but they're not good, huh?
Well, we talked about an
Very
iPad
expensive too.
Yeah.
for you for in the field, so that should probably be within this
Lakeville's
tools.
trying to do something with the GIS. They have for the building department and the Board of Health,
Is it
where you're
People's-
gonna actually do it on the field.
People's GIS.
So something where you're gonna have you can actually say inspection completed, and it all goes back to a database, and everyone's gonna be on the same network. But these were only just start off meetings where trying to get the right company in. They were just giving us presentations.
Oh.
So, but they're looking towards that, but that's.
Yeah, like I said, tonight, I didn't, we got enough other stuff, we can follow up with that stuff later. So, I've got the tools I need to do my job, with the exception of the thermometer right now, so. Yeah.
Buy it.
Um,
You don't need our permission.
yeah,
Well,
it's great.
but you're
I thought you
recommending-
had just bought it.
Well, I just wasn't sure what you wanted him to get. I knew what I would want, but
How about you
This should be catalogs you guys receive.
buy the thermometer? Yeah, this,
That's what made
I
us
always
realize.
get a pamphlet every couple
Yeah.
months with like specials of thermometers and test strips and stuff
But
like
the
that.
one has both, like you
I
said,
can't
has
remember
the
name of
has the
company.
thermometer with it, almost like the ones that Subway use.
Yeah,
And
mine,
the infrared.
mine's got a probe that flips down, and it's, that's digital too, and then you just select which mode, laser or probe, and stick the probe in, and it's got, it's got a like 30-second timer, and
Yeah.
Alright, so I'll start looking then, and we'll
Well,
check out some
can
of
you
those.
I think
find
it
out
was
what
like-
yours is and just send
yeah,
her?
it's Fluke is who made it.
Fluke?
Yeah, I can actually even get you the model.
Wait, not right now, you can get it to me.
It might have been like
I just wanted to make
$100.
sure the board was okay with me ordering the stuff.
And then there's other ones too, you could pop it in like a chef wears.
Yeah.
And you can always have one on the side, you know?
Okay.
It's been durable. I've had it for probably 8 years.
Okay. That sounds good to me.
And then, so, go ahead and get the thermometer, and then I would say make a list of all the other things
Yeah,
and
if
priority.
you need a flashlight, get a flashlight.
well, that's what I wasn't sure what
Some
else.
people-
Nowadays,
some
phones
people
have
use their
them in
phone,
there, yeah,
right?
so.
Just make
If you
a,
wanna
make a
make a little kit,
prioritized
yeah.
list of things you need.
Tyvek suit,
and-
Yeah, we have one of those already, yeah.
in case you go to a house that has bed bugs.
Oh, the hazmat,
Yeah, one of those
Trauma
jumpsuits where you can
24,
actually
yeah.
dispose of. Like, they're cheap enough.
Is that,
Some rubber gloves,
speaking of which, while we're ordering
vinyl
stuff,
gloves.
is that like up to snuff? I know
the bag.
yeah.
Was that green bag?
Mm,
It should have everything in there, it's pretty good. Has the hard hat, has everything in
We'll
there.
have to go through that.
Yeah, check that out.
Yeah, we've been kinda so busy doing other things that we haven't had time to kind of assess
Yeah, that cert bag.
stuff, and when we moved, everything's kinda, so we'll get to it.
Yeah,
so.
it's really starting to click.
It's getting there, it's getting
Yeah.
better. It's like the train that's, it's just starting from nothing, and it's starting to get there, so.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow up on this Joseph Borges and see what he used for an address for the transfer station with Karen.
Okay.
Guess we can go back to D, we didn't discuss D, right? Not Dayton Health Concern.
Where'd he go?
On the phone.
Do you want me to go find him?
No, this is about, in general, the
I
other
know it
matter.
is, but, so,
That's a neighbor issue.
Yeah, but I think he was supposed to be upstairs is where he was aiming for, and not down
I
here.
don't know.
Yeah, but it's 7:30 now.
It is 7:30.
No, it's.
The selectmen's 7:30.
Oh, 7:30,
so-
yes, it's a selectmen's meeting.
I don't know, we can do it. I
Let's
think-
do it, I
think-
mean, it's in order.
I think he's more concerned with the one incident, where we're concerned with the
Whole
overall.
Yeah.
The whole.
All right, let's talk about that then. The, North Dayton Health Concern, basically, we've had a couple of complaints of, rats seen in the area, North Dayton area. There's been various, views of them, various comments. I don't wanna say some may have been exaggerated, but it doesn't sound possible from some of the things that we've heard. We have been following up on this, and we're still following up on this. Those of you that are watching that live within the area, in the village, we sent out 45 letters to each homeowner within a district near the mills. And we have received some back, which has kinda narrowed down our areas of concern. We've identified probably 3 areas of concern, potential, not saying that they are, but only from the letters we've received, identifying the sightings have led us to conclude that they could be in this area.
Well, it's also, the animal control officer and myself, and we've extensively gone through the area. We've looked for dumpsters that are open, we've looked for habitats and trash, and based on everything we've seen, and the letters, we've narrowed it down to, we think, a few specific locations which we are trying to get into them on, cause they're on private property, so we're trying to get into them better.
So that's where we are working on it, diligently, I guess, I could say.
There's been a lot of
Hours
hours
and
spent
hours.
on this,
Yeah.
of
So-
Roz, myself, Stacy, so.
Rest assured that we will,
And even the highway department has been down there scoping some of the pipes to see if there's
Yeah,
evidence of the rats using the tunnels,
The
you know,
drains
the
and
drains.
sewers.
Yep, the old, steam tunnels, and they didn't find anything, so this has been a
yeah,
big effort.
we have spent a lot of
It's
time and
isolated.
effort down there.
But yeah, it seems
We
to be.
feel it now, it's isolated. Though I do wanna say, somebody did mention that they were concerned about the baseball field and that maybe we should shut down the baseball field. It is not that kind of thing. If we thought there was a health issue, that would have been the first thing we did. We wouldn't have just gone and investigated. We would have shut down the playground until we figured out where everything was. But we feel right now, we've got a decent handle on it. It's not a public health issue for kids to be playing out on the playground.
And there's no trash barrels on the playground, so there's no reason the rats are going there to get food or anything like that, none of that's there, and
Yeah.
so, yeah.
And I don't believe it's of such a nature that people should be concerned about being overrun with, rats. There are some up there, probably, as in any mill area, and you have your people with animals, so if they're up there, they're gonna find a food source, so they're gonna be running around.
We did ask in the letter that we sent out to all 45 people that they stop feeding any outside animals, including birds, their own cats, dogs, whatever, stop putting food out, because that you're basically
You would
giving us
just be
food source.
contributing to
Yeah,
it.
so we asked them to stop doing that, and we know at least a couple houses have, but, we can't, obviously.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. We seem to be getting cooperative effort from the entire neighborhood,
Yeah,
so.
and I would suggest that if you think that your yard requires cleaning up because it could be a habitat, if you would do that, please, because that'll lessen the likelihood also that they're gonna have a place to go. And but that's about it, we are still working on it.
But we're making headway. So, it's only been a couple weeks, I think, since this has actually started. This might be like week 3 right now that we're in, so. And we have the 4th of July in the middle of it too, so.
Well, I know you guys are working hard, I read the letter and I've read the correspondence. If, I know you guys been out there, but if you need additional hands, boots on the ground, just ask to vary from the hours I'm working, and I'll go by too.
Okay. So right now, there's a couple was like an abandoned building that we wanna get into and stuff like that. So there's some of that kind of stuff that we're trying to get into, and we need access before we get in there,
Yeah.
but we appreciate the help, so.
Okay.
We'll see what we can accomplish.
Oh, here's the, contact information on that railroad bed,
2128
Oh.
Pleasant Street.
306 Winthrop Street.
Okay.
At least that's what the assessor's, record shows.
Should be able to find it cheaper than that.
Let's go down, I don't know if Tom wanted to be here for this illicit stormwater discharge and fines.
Yeah, I don't think we had much to report on that, because again, what we're supposed to, Stormwater Committee, we talked about some things. We were supposed to be working up fines, and fees for, you know, subdivisions or individual lots and all that. And it was supposed to be Jim and I, but again, between personal time, vacation time and rats, we haven't had a lot of
Yeah.
time to sit down and go over it, so. Cause we had to use up all our time by the June 30th, so,
No,
You never put those three together ever again, probably in your life.
Well, it's funny, on our
Time, vacation time and rats.
on our calendar for next year now that we're using the Microsoft Outlook, we put right in there on June 1st, do not schedule any subcommittee meetings or anything for the
Yeah.
last 2 weeks, no perks or
Yeah.
whatever, cause there's too much happens at the end of June.
You're going on
Sounds very
vacation
tough.
shortly, right?
I am going on vacation
The
shortly.
end of the month?
Yes, the
Use
21st
it
and
now, right?
28th, so, which will bring me to the agent's report. I'm gonna potentially need somebody to do the car show, but we'll talk about that when we get to it.
Okay, moving on, where we, well, I guess first step, have we created a well permit application?
Oh, yeah.
We have.
Look at you guys.
So we did this app
A while
and,
ago.
yeah, it was a
Yeah,
while
I
ago.
remember this.
And then we had a couple people apply for the well permit, and we noticed that there's a sign off on it for me to approve it, but I have to approve the location to allow them to go drill it, and then once the well tests come back, then I have to approve it a second time, so we have to modify the form to include that. But one of the reasons we wanna talk about this is what happened is, we got one of our well tests back.
This
This
roll
just came
into
back.
I.
What's that?
This rolls into I.
Yes.
Yeah, so they rolled together,
Yes.
so it's gonna come back to, this well test came back, and the well has lead and arsenic in it. And both bad things, but we don't have a regulation that says, what do you do? You read some of the mass.gov, stuff on private wells and arsenic, and it says it's there, you can put in treatment systems, et cetera, et cetera. So, as a Board of Health, do we say, you have to have a treatment system to remove this stuff, and annually you have to submit water test results to us? And before you can move into the house, we need to see that the filter system's working.
It's a new well too, right?
It's a brand new well, or do we say that we can't use the
But
well?
I think it says right on there, if it says arsenic,
It's pretty elevated.
yeah, it.
I mean, off of what?
There's no other page?
Oh, no, we got a whole report, you want
Yeah,
to see the whole
page
report?
2, it should say this water is not safe to drink. So we just go by that and see, according to the well analysis.
But do we say they gotta drill a new well, or do we say they have to put in a treatment system? But we don't have anything in place right now, or even on the wells see, on our well thing, it doesn't say you have to test for arsenic.
They could retest it.
Or VOCs or whatever, you know, it's right, so, or they could run a retest. So, this is the first one that I've run into like this, and I wanted to know how the board wanted to handle it. I can go either way, a retest would be fine, making them drill a little new well would be fine, but I know that's a lot of money, but a treatment system that you have to change the filter on a monthly basis can be expensive too, so.
See, what we have in Lakeville is, we have our parameters, so we actually say you have to test for VOCs and arsenic, and then when we get all those back, then we can say, oh, you're elevated on this one. I don't think we don't have parameters, so does the state actually require you to do arsenic?
No.
So what do you do if their levels are high?
This is what Berkeley requires on their well test.
On that, if that, any of these, like the coliform, the arsenic, nitrogen, nitrate, nitrogen, ammonium, nitrogen, we automatically tell them to retest, and it's not safe.
But if it, say it comes back again with lead in it, again,
Then you have to treat it, and they come back with a clean test.
but they have to treat it with an in-house filtration system. So does that mean I sign off on them building the house to get the treatment system in? And then they can't move into the house until we get a clean water test? Do you see where I'm going with
Yes,
this?
when-
that
So
would be the
it's-
way you.
Yeah, when
But
the
it's at
building-
their own
when
risk
the-
at that
When the building
point.
inspector
Right.
asks you, can you sign off on this, you can, if he does like foundation only or whatever it is, you can keep building, but then you say, on your part, don't you sign off on the building portion? You can say, no COC until, retest clean water, whatever it is. You can't give them a COC on your end.
But if they choose to drill a new well, they can do that too.
They can.
But they can put in a filtration system if they want. Now, say there's lead, and we get the filtration system, it comes back clean. Do we need them to provide us annual inspections? Cause if they don't change the filter, the lead's gonna start coming into the house. So do we need to hit them with annual inspections required, mandatory? Because
Is it-
because of lead in the well.
These are the main things we need to put in our regs when we.
Right, which is part of, say, H and I went together and it's gonna lump into, we need regs, we're in the process of writing them. This is a great example of what we need to have, so.
Yeah,
So we can ponder this and come back to it, but for them, I'm gonna tell them, you know, that try a retest and see if it's still there. Because it might have been in the pipes too, that they were, you know, in the well pipes or whatever.
Look at what a few other towns have and.
Now that,
They can't tie into water, huh, where they are?
it's two properties, same owner, they're building these houses, they tested them both, like drilled both wells.
And one came back
fine.
That's why I'm thinking that if they let that water run a bit and retest, if one already came back fine, then possibly.
Yep.
the
I
other
can,
one.
I can
It's
send
all
you
in the
some of
same
my standard
aquifer.
letters too. And it'll say that, the arsenic is exceeded the limit.
And they exceed EPA limits, so that's,
And it's not,
right there should.
So the water's not
So like
potable
so-
unless it's treated.
and then there's a couple.
this time.
Yeah, there's, on that standard letter that we have, it pretty much gives you options to have it treated.
Okay.
Or a new well may be needed.
Alright, so if you wanna forward
And
me
then
that
yeah, I'll send
letter.
you those letters that I have, on each one, like the manganese is just more of an FYI. Salt, we have one.
But it
just
turns everything
sodium
brown
base.
in your house, believe me. That's what we have in my house.
I'll send you all those standard letters,
Okay.
But I would encourage them to do a retest first before they proceed, especially if they have one right next door that came clean.
Okay. Well, as long as you guys are supporting me, I'll keep going. I just didn't wanna go and they say something and somebody come back and say, nobody's ever asked for that before, and then, you know, then I'm the
And-
bad guy, so.
well,
Or just say,
do you wanna
do a
live?
retest, ensure that the well's been properly run and clean water's been run through for an, you know, appropriate amount of time. I wanna say it's usually a minimum of 5 minutes to make sure that all the water's been run through the pipes.
Okay. So that brings us to the well permit application, what we've got. I know we talked about this before, and I think we'll do it under regs, that I wanna have the well tested for arsenic and maybe a couple other things that's not on the
Yes,
state,
yeah.
List. But
Arsenic was on the state list.
I don't believe it is.
Maybe it's specific only to the Berkshires then.
Yeah, so in any event,
I think
and then I
it's-
wanna add in a second component, so where I am approving the well for potability, where the first part is okay to drill it in that location you've chosen. So we're gonna make it a two-part form, so that was
That
always
makes sense.
updating you guys on what we're gonna
Yeah,
do with the form.
we don't need a
so.
motion for that,
Okay.
just to update.
So you're gonna create this, and you,
Yes, well, we've already got the well
Right, this one.
created,
You're
so we
gonna-
just
you
have
want
to
a
add in the
second
second
part.
part, and then Kevin's gonna send the letters over so that we can,
Okay.
work on
yeah,
that.
take a peek at them, but then obviously, we need, clean water, they'd have to demonstrate to us, clean water.
yeah.
Right,
Same thing as with us drinking right now, the water in town, the town water, the people that give us the town water would never say, yeah, you got a little bit of arsenic in there, we're trying to fix it, no, it's unacceptable.
yep. Okay, will do. So that blended right into 7A, which was proposed regulation changes, which, again, back to the vacation and personal time and rats, I haven't had a lot of time to work on those either. But say some of this came up, and so I'm getting obviously some examples of things that we need to incorporate, and so. The good news is I only got one perk scheduled for the rest of the month, so I know I got a vacation in there, but, it means some time to spend on this stuff, hopefully, so.
Going back to A, I'd make a motion to table this until, our August meeting, and maybe have another workshop now that we've had more time and some things have come up, like the well stuff, come up with other things aside from just the septic stuff, all of us.
Yeah.
And, things that we wanna add in, and maybe do another workshop later in August.
That'd be good.
Yeah, I think where we're at, the septic, regs are pretty much.
Squared away. It's just
Yeah.
easier,
Well, just gotta get them all
Just to
typed in one place.
refresh them all again, and then we gotta, and then
Yeah.
we gotta give us time to post it for the hearing.
You're right.
right, I'm just thinking, I mean, if we're already posting it and we've waited this long already, add another
I know.
couple months onto it and we can get more in at the same time and.
Like even like something like this, well, the garden, lawn irrigation, well, do we wanna keep the same setbacks as the state, or do you wanna go, just something to discuss, you know?
Yeah.
And what are we testing for now? Are we gonna be, what exactly are we gonna identify here?
Wonder the items specified, I think that should be just for potable water. I mean, irrigation, it's,
Right, that's a different animal.
right,
Yeah.
but if it's for a potable well.
Yep. And like I said, I think there's some things that's not on the state list that we need, I
But
don't know if
like
I would
Lakeville-
change the limits from what the EPA has from 10 to 5 or whatever, I don't know if
Right.
I wanna get into that, but.
No.
Lakeville has,
No.
if you have both, if you have a well and irrigation, the irrigation one's disconnected from the house.
Oh, yeah.
Because then you'd have to test both. We
Yeah.
don't want you to have,
Right.
oh, this one's giving me a hard time, let me just tap into this one.
Yeah, just
No.
turn a valve, off you go.
Yeah.
So that one's totally disconnected from
You know, as you just said, I don't think we need to reduce anything, just meet the minimum standards of what exists already and
Okay.
go from there. That way there's not a whole lot of, work to do, to make the.
And everyone that has town water, pretty much everybody in town, the irrigation well's not tied into the house.
Right.
Cause you'd have to test it.
Yep. Got it.
I should test mine one of these days.
Yeah, they recommend you do it every so often. And in fact, I just got a letter from, our church in Berkeley just got a letter, because we're on a well, but because we're a food service establishment.
Yeah.
DEP has said you have to be testing your water annually, and so.
Yeah, that came down the pipe.
Yeah, so,
Cause you might have people with the, people get nitrogen, they're like, oh, why? Could be fertilizer. Could be whatever it is, compost pile, whatever it is, or bad septic, right?
so.
You don't know what's going on.
Yep.
Kev, did you second Matt's motion to table?
A second.
Yeah.
And are we setting a date for the workshop in August?
No, we can
Our
set
next
that at the
meeting-
August meeting,
yeah, August
just to
8th
see
is
what
on
the
the
schedules are like with Todd and everybody else.
Okay.
But just to get everybody
So
start thinking
there's
about
a-
things.
There's a motion out there, right?
Yeah.
Table the mobile permit application and water report,
No, the proposed regulation changes.
they kinda went together,
7A, yeah.
Schedule.
okay. And, all in favor of the motion to table?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Grab this one.
Can't believe that you wanna build a new house, you got property and. What was it, where is that particular one on,
Old Wellington?
yeah, oh, I know Roll One.
There's two, like, state lots off of Old Wellington, I guess they come up to the back of whatever the
Yeah,
southern,
yeah, I mean,
Wellington Acres or
Cedar.
something, or.
I think it's Lopes or
Yeah,
Sunny's Way.
I'm in that area. It's
But these aren't
Cedar
part of the
Estates, Old,
subdivision.
Wellington Estates, and then it's back you guys,
Mm.
this way.
I can show you on a map if you want.
Of
That's the two estate lots that
where they
abut-
built, where my
Why don't
road
they
is,
run
they
town
built a
water
cul-de-sac
down there?
back there.
These houses are a long way off the street.
I'm assuming that's
It's
that way
Lopes
back,
family.
that's all, yeah, Lopes that was Lopes property.
There's a pond back there.
Yep.
They can run their own water
It was
down there.
Not doing anything, I don't know what's going on.
Or there might not be Wi-Fi down here now. Or it was fine?
It was fine, it just, I stopped,
You know, Comcast.
could be,
And then
anyhow.
nothing but trouble.
All right, anyway, I think we did 7A while we were discussing all of that
Yep.
with the, okay,
800 Center
we're up
Street.
again 7B.
800 Center Street, I sent you,
You got the big folder over there.
no, this is,
Is this
minutes.
the green one under the?
No, that's,
Maybe I have it, I apologize,
Yeah,
sorry.
that's,
Thought I passed
The
it
other
along.
big green folder.
So I had
You're
sent.
still in Myrtle Beach anyway,
I
right?
am. Vacation brain.
I love Myrtle.
I had sent this letter out to the board, but because obviously we can't be discussing it online, This was my draft letter of what I wanted to send out. I have not discussed this with the owner yet, cause I wanted to make sure the board is in agreement with the direction we're taking before we present it to her and vote on it formally and all the rest of it, and give her an opportunity to, speak. Network problems.
That's perfect.
Thank you. I think it covers a lot, but I wanted to make sure I had codes in there too, so.
Everything we had talked about prior.
I like it.
Do you?
Alright, so what I'd like to do then is I wanna call the owner, discuss it with her. Invite her to come into the next meeting if she wants to, and at the next meeting, we can vote to send this out. And then she will have to obviously get a hold of a lawyer to do the deed restrictions and that kind of stuff, and we'll work on that.
Yep.
I also have to call her because there's also been some trash put out in non-town bags out in front of the property that we need to have, proper bags and properly disposed of, so.
That's another thing I gotta ask, it's on my list of, a couple of years back, I think it was, I couldn't find it, I thought I had a copy of it. Selectman Cronin at the time put a letter out that trash will be in the trash bags and they'll be closed and they can't weigh more than 40 pounds or whatever it is, do you remember that?
I think I was even on the board for
Yeah.
that
I
one.
was gonna say, I
You weren't
remember
there at the
that.
time?
No, I was.
I think so,
Yeah,
yeah.
you
Sure.
remember
Yeah.
being at that
Yeah.
meeting, so
Yeah.
when would that have been?
Probably May of 2015,
Yeah.
April or May of 2015.
Wow, that's a
I
pretty good
remember
memory.
being at that meeting.
Wow.
Okay.
It's a good time.
So it,
It made
it
sense.
came right after you got on the board?
Yeah.
Alright. At least I have a time frame where maybe she can look if,
I would push.
you don't
more
have a
towards-
copy of it, do you?
I do not. I would push, I'd first look at May of 2015, probably the middle to end.
Cause they talked about recycling stickers and.
Yeah.
And this is Board of Selectmen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was this at
And
a-
Board of Health, I think it was at both.
Was this at a formal official meeting?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
So it ought to
It
be
was
in the
on-
minutes if I look at.
Right, and it should
We
be
were
on
there,
camera.
yeah.
Should be
Okay.
on camera, because he talked about nobody can put the garbage bags over the top of
Yeah.
the trash barrels. If there's trash in the trash barrel, the bag has to be tied, or they're not gonna take it. Can't be tied to the trash
Right.
bag like it is over on Center Street.
Well, and
Can't-
what's
you can't
happening
stack
here
another
is-
bag on top.
Right,
But what they're doing here is it's a green bag, and in the knot they're tying a clear bag in the knot, so.
The
that's
larger or
probably,
small?
small,
They are.
Small.
they're small bags, they're not even large bags
The-
that
the-
contain.
The bags, the trash bag would not fit into two large trash bags of ours. So.
Great.
Do you remember if it was before
Just
or
one
after
thing
the
after
meeting
another.
with Rehoboth? That was on May 6th.
That was- I think it was-
That I don't remember, cause I was not at the Rehoboth meeting.
Well, as I have a
See
time
how
frame,
that
I
one I
should be
did
able,
Watching
work.
TV, just watch those
should be
every
able to
night.
find that.
You can do that.
Yeah, thanks.
Off the street.
When you skip that.
No, obviously.
I wanna see if there's a copy for me.
Hey, did you have to be somewhere?
7:30, the meeting upstairs.
Well, we're gonna do your report next, but I think we've covered it for the most part. If there's anything else, we'll wait for Raj and then we can. So you can write me on this one.
I found it. It's,
Is it close?
April 22nd, 2015.
Said April or May, start with May though.
Well, you looking at the agendas?
No, the minutes. If your trash is not in the Dayton trash bag, it will be left there. It will not be picked up. The bags must be tied. Any trash that is put on top of the bag and not in a Dayton bag will be left. The other thing I want to mention is some people are compacting their trash so much the bags are too heavy to lift. That policy will no longer be in effect. If you as a homeowner cannot carry your bag, your back, I'm assuming it's bag, to the curbside, do not even consider putting it out. It will not be picked up. Please adhere to the rules. This has been going on and cannot continue.
Just use the minutes.
Upstairs.
There should be a limit, like 40 pounds is good.
I think 25 is actually the max.
I was gonna say, I don't think those bags will hold 40 pounds.
That's true, yeah, 40
I,
pounds. is
I
good.
don't know what the new supplier is.
Yes, they
Waste-
can.
Waste Zero, the new ones I'm sure can hold more. The
Oh,
Waste
yeah.
Zero, Waste Zero said 25 on the large bags, 25 pounds on the large bags.
That's not much.
I know Freetown used to say 40 pounds.
Well, if you're using a
Yeah,
twist
see the
tie, it won't
gorgeous?
hold it anyway. You gotta tie it and knot in the
Just
bag.
twist it, bundle it up like a big sack of potatoes.
I only read one bad thing about the new bags and I was kinda surprised. Most people are saying they like them.
The only complaint we've had, to digress, the only complaint we've had is we've had two different people complain that the twist ties are short and they don't work on the large bags, they need the longer ties. But I get the twist ties in Berkeley, so I've got a whole bucket full of them and I tie my bags, so I brought them in and, what's his name, Don Hershey, ended up, cause it was his next door neighbor and he brought it to her and delivered her a stack, so she was thrilled. Problem solved.
I always tie it
Customer
anyway.
service.
Tie the bag a little bit, you lift it up, then just spin the bag until it's about
But
this tight.
they're only that long, they were too short, and I actually, we talked to the manufacturer and they said, no, that's what is included, but they were gonna look at a price to get us the longer ties, so we haven't heard back yet.
No, which is
Are
very
you
strange.
kidding me?
Seriously, they just send us the longer ones.
But we had asked to be the same as Berkeley, and Berkeley's giving out the long twist ties, so we're gonna follow up
Okay.
with it, but yeah, we're getting there.
Sorry,
It's on the to-do list.
the bag quality's better than not ripping apart, so,
Yeah.
as much at least. It's good.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah, yeah. Good.
Next.
Well, you want, go ahead, Stacy, give your report, so in case you gotta be out of here, we can,
Let's see, it's kitten season, I've had 2 mother cats killed. One by a coyote that was witnessed, one hit by a car, they believe. So I have kittens in foster care, being fed every 3 hours, they were about 2 weeks old, both sets. So, it's that time of season, though, to start, I don't do cats, ha 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 ha. But I won't leave 2-week-old kittens alone to die either. I had to put a cat to sleep yesterday, that was so skinny, I don't know how it was living. I don't know if it belonged to somebody, it looked like it had been shaved recently, and they nicked him a couple times, so there was bad stuff happening there. So, I won't let the cat suffer either, so if that has to be done, I will do that. But I do not have a place for cats in the shelter as of right now. That will possibly change if we do the new shelter, but right now, I don't have a place for cats. I do what I can to get them out and about to where they need to go and find foster homes and stuff like that, but sometimes that's hard too. A lot of wildlife calls. I left the Board of Health today with a telephone call from the Taunton Gazette because a lot of people are reporting seeing coyotes in Dayton. That's because you're on Facebook and you've seen all the people reporting that they've seen coyotes. We've always had coyotes, we will have coyotes. This time of year is moms are either looking for a lot of food because they're feeding their babies, or they're starting to take their babies out to teach them how to hunt and forage. So you're gonna see them during the day. They're not nocturnal, they're canines, just like your dog at home. So they don't mind being out during the day, they just prefer you not see them, so most of the time they do their stuff at night. But if they're really hungry or their babies are up and moving around, they'll also be up moving around. Foxes the same way, skunks, raccoons, all are up and going and can be up and going during the day. I need to know if they're acting funny. And acting funny doesn't mean walking through your yard. Acting funny means if they look like they're drunk, they're stumbling over themselves, they're walking in circles. Just because they look mangy doesn't mean that they have rabies. They do lose their coats like regular dogs do, and sometimes they do look mangy. So, I have never had one that I've sent in this town rabid, which is good. It doesn't mean that that can't happen, but I don't need the call that, oh, I just saw a coyote walk down through my backyard and it was gonna go after my dog. Well, don't leave your small dogs and your small children outside, because they will take them and run off. Your chickens, somebody had 4 chickens just, coyote lifted up the fence and ate all 4 chickens. So, it's wildlife, there's not much I can do with them unless they're posing a threat. I am not gonna go out there and kill them, I will not go out there and shoot them. If you have a farm and they are going after your living, you have the right to take care of them. There is a hunting season for them, you do have a right to take care of them, but I will not come out and shoot a healthy animal that is just walking through your yard.
It's funny, around 2 weeks ago, on Rehoboth Road, a coyote passed us while we were in the car. I was like, holy smoke.
And they're big.
I've never seen
They
one
can
out.
get big.
They
I've
are
never seen
big.
any of them out. That one just crossed the
Yeah,
road. I was
some
like,
guy said to me, well, it looked like a German Shepherd, it couldn't have been a coyote. I said, oh no,
Yeah,
these
that's what it
are
looked
big
like.
here. They look
Small
like German
German
Shepherds,
Shepherd.
yeah, they look like
Depending where
German
you are in the
Shepherds.
country, they'll either be
Right.
like a smaller size or the larger size.
Right.
I think the long history
This
with
one was
breeding
like a
with
smaller
wolves
German
and
Shepherd.
If you
things
see
like
them over
that,
in the
but
Tremont Street area, they're huge. They must have a lot of
they
food
look
over
like
there.
a German Shepherd.
Yeah, they're huge, they run the dump,
Mm-hmm.
that's where the pack runs. And like I was telling the reporter today,
I live near that Dayton,
Yeah.
Rehoboth line around there, and I was like, wow.
yeah,
I couldn't believe it.
they can get very big, and they look like German Shepherds. They're not on steroids or anything, it's just, that's what they are.
So I gotta be careful when you let your little dog out at night.
Most definitely, do not let your little
Yes,
dog
if
out at
it's a
night if you're
breed.
not watching it and right there with it. And even if
Yeah.
you're right there, sometimes they'll come by and snatch it and run off. It happened last year
I
and
take
not
my
that.
little one out and I keep looking around for just waiting for, I turn every light on and I'll go around though, but.
And they don't scare easily, that's another thing I've heard. Oh, I tried to scare them and they just looked at me. That's because they're used to you at this point. So they're not gonna run off if you scare them, or an open umbrella or anything like that. They don't care. They're there to do what they need to do and
Yeah.
Them
move
be.
on.
They're hungry.
Yeah.
Dog bites?
Dog bites, we've had a few, nothing like it was last year at this point. I'm getting a lot of calls, when the leash law goes into effect, I feel I'm going to be rather busy for a little while. Until people get a hold of that and understand that, so.
When does that become,
We haven't, as far as I know, we haven't heard from the Attorney General yet on that bylaw. We have for the right to farm, which we're gonna talk about tonight at the selectmen's meeting, but we haven't for that one, as far as I know.
Well, sounds good. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Her and I have spent a lot of time together in the
Yeah,
last.
we
Rats.
spent a lot of time
Rats.
together.
Okay. You wanna do your report? You have one?
I got lots to go
Oh,
over.
we did discuss everything.
No, I got lots to go over.
Okay.
You wanna do me now, or do you wanna go back up and?
See,
Do
old
weed.
business, local cannabis advisory board.
Yeah, 7C.
I prefer to do that at the end and that,
Okay.
get all the,
Alright.
kinda like a little workshop at the end of this meeting.
Alright, let's start with, Almeida's Country Store, we sent them a $100 penalty fine letter, we haven't received payment yet. So what I'd like to do is send them a demand for payment, basically telling them, look, you've had 45 days, you haven't paid it, if the payment's not received by July 31st, the Board of Health will rescind your Vic license and the fine will be doubled. But we can do whatever the board wants to do, but that's what I was
I
recommending.
think I have to recuse myself for that one, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, so.
But they haven't responded, we
Plus
haven't heard
already
anything, they
when
didn't
it-
appeal it, they had 7 days to appeal, they didn't appeal.
When's the 14% kick in? There's an interest charge too.
There was nothing on the original letter that went out that it just said you have 7 days if you'd like to
Okay.
appeal. So that's why we figured we would
All right.
send
No, that
this
sounds
up, give
good,
it
yeah.
until the end of July. Do you wanna put something
That
about
was, that was,
14 days?
yeah, that was
No,
the
that's
letter we
all
sent
right.
originally.
Todd said, we're gonna rescind your common vic
I
license,
think when he
you'll
gets
be
that, that's gonna be,
feeding anyone.
I would hope it would get his
that will be
attention.
enough to.
Is that okay,
But it should have
Bill?
been in the first letter that you have 14 days to pay us or something, it
Only
didn't
thing
say how long we
worried,
had to
are we
pay, so.
mandated to check with Mary?
It's in the, should be in with the 21D regs, with the citation regs, how much time. Usually it's either 14 or 21 days you have to pay it. At
Alright.
that, you can just send it to court.
Right,
But-
the magistrate takes it 21 days.
But we'd rather
Citation.
get them to pay it without going to court.
Yeah, and.
For
if it
$100,
was-
I understand
if it was nothing in
$1,000 they
there.
might wanna go to court over it, but.
Yeah, I think this is pretty reasonable, and this is,
Then, don't pay it then.
I mean, if you want something more, you can add it right in, we can print it, and then we can sign
Hmm.
something else.
I don't think we have to charge the interest, but we can if we so want, the interest on the fine. Yeah, I'm
If
happy
they pay
with-
the $100, great.
I'm
If it ends
happy.
up having to go to court, then we'll deal with it.
I'm happy with
based on
that.
Okay.
No,
He
he
can't
can't
sign
sign
it.
it.
You can't sign that.
He
Send it
recused
back.
Oh, that's right, this is, okay.
Oh, you wanna bring him back in the room?
You come back in.
Oh, gee, you left.
I'll
Yeah,
get it.
yeah.
I went home.
It went home. It went
I was
home.
gonna go home. Alright, move it along.
Let's see. Alright, this is now like the second one I've gotten in a couple months. It's a Title V inspection that comes in. Says it's a 4-bedroom design, but there's 5 bedrooms in the house. This one in particular, there was a 4-bedroom house, and out in the back was an office and a bedroom. But the system was only designed for the 4 bedrooms of the house, and so these are, we'll call them illegal, I guess, because they're not part of the septic system. We don't have a policy in place for what I do, so far all I can do is move these along, but what do? If we send them a letter, it's the homeowner who's selling the house that did the Title V inspection, they're just gonna throw it in the trash. But if you send it to the person that bought the house and say, hey, by the way, you're short 1 bedroom, they're gonna be like, what's going on?
Well, if we send them a letter, by right, that owner, that person, is supposed to disclose that at a closing. So the letters we always send to folks are saying that, according to the Title V report, I'm just paraphrasing, we have at the office. According to the Title V report, it indicated you have, X amount of rooms, but you only designed for X. Increase, to your system will have an adverse effect. Oh, this might have an adverse effect to your system, and attention is needed in this matter. Throw it back on them. They're gonna have to, I don't know, that's what we have.
Wait, but you're
I can send
sending-
you that letter too.
But you're sending this to the seller of the house?
Yeah, the person that's named on that Title V, and they must disclose that.
Could we send it to the realtor too? If, if there's a for sale sign out in front of the house.
Whoever paid for that Title V, whoever has, control of that property.
Okay. I mean, I don't mind sending a letter, again, it's a matter of what does this board want me to do with these kind of situations, because it seems like there's more than there should be, of people putting in things that they shouldn't have. This one in particular, they ran,
You said-
they ran a sewer pipe and a water line, and the sewer pipe tied into the septic tank, and they never got a building permit, plumbing permit,
Illegal-
sewer
illegal
permit,
tie-in.
so.
I'll show you the page, it shows like this, halfway through it, there's.
So I'd say I've had a couple of them, and I'm like, but I figured the
What about
letter
the
wasn't gonna get
design?
anywhere.
This is 5 plus,
Uh-huh.
actual 5,
Because
Yeah,
5
but keep
plus
going,
the-
what does it say below that? 700?
700 gallons per day, per plan.
I got the design plan's right in the folder, but yeah, it was, exactly, it was like 5 and a little bit more, it wasn't quite a 6-bedroom house.
I'm confused.
They designed it like 600 gallons a day, which is more than a 5-bedroom house, but
Yeah.
not quite a 6-bedroom house.
But they said there's 5 bedrooms, so they're fine on that one.
Yeah, but there's not, there's 5 bedrooms in the house, and then there's one in the office, there's an office and a bedroom in the office. If you
They
look on the
illegally
sketch,
tied in,
yeah,
so-
go to like the last page is a sketch, and it shows what they did. I got another one now, that, the Title V inspection that came in April called it a barn, but I just got the septic repair plan calling it a 1-bedroom apartment. You know, so,
Cause right now, the thing is,
this says 2 levels, garage and office.
They have control of
But they
this
turned one
house.
of the levels into a bedroom.
I don't care about who's selling to who or what's going on. We're only talking to the person that has control of that property. We're saying to, oh, that Title V inspection you did, cause they have up to a couple of years to
Yep.
sell this, so they have this for themselves. Oh, that Title V inspection you did, we have a problem with it. It doesn't, you have more rooms than what you have designed for.
Right.
And it's gonna have, it will have an adverse effect, or may have an adverse effect. So it's identifying to
longevity
everyone
of the
that
system
this
and-
system could possibly have a failure criteria because of this. And then they have to disclose it, and if they don't, it's on them, really.
So if you guys are okay with me sending that letter,
Well, Kev, you said you had a template for that?
I do, if the board likes. I don't know what you do, man, on yours. Do you tell them to remove one of the rooms?
No, I just highlight it right across the top.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fire beware and
Sure.
really, you know.
At least you're identifying that, hey, according to that inspector, cause you're not walking through the house,
Nope.
so that inspector's actually using.
right, unless this
Right.
board wants me to
Yeah.
go through the houses on Title V inspections, which I didn't think we
You-
wanted to
you-
do that.
You won't have time for anything else.
No, I know, that's why I didn't think we wanted to do that, but I think, but it's a red flag in right to right.
Oh, it is.
Are you guys okay with me sending that letter out, and something may happen or nothing may happen, but that way we're on record
Well,
as saying, hey,
somebody's
there's a
gotta be-
red flag.
Right.
But we don't send out something saying, hey, we reviewed your Title V and it passed, either, you know? If there's something wrong with it, I call the inspector and say, hey, make a change, but if it's okay, we don't do anything about it.
Yeah, I always stamp it, that says.
Yeah, right, but nobody knows that we stamped it, so, you know what I mean? I just,
Right.
I don't know, it's one of those things. So, I can work up a letter that we can send, and, you know,
Yeah.
if you get some wordage, we can put it together and come up with something.
Well, on our end, we are doing something. If it's good, you're stamping it and you're putting it away. If there's a condition or something that you have a problem with, you can talk to the inspector, he can clarify for you. Or if there's a letter that has to go out to the owner, then you go
Yeah,
from there.
But this is only like 2 out of 50 that
Yeah.
I've had this issue with.
I can send you that template letter too.
Okay, send it over.
I'll send them all. You can mess around with
Those
it.
letters that Larry made up?
I had them too in Freetown, yeah.
Yeah.
We have, they've been I've been working with those letters from each town
Oh, that's good.
for years. I'm just passing them along. You can kinda tweak it, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be good, send them all.
Even failure ones, I have ones that if it's a failure, it tells you, like, I'll send it to you. It's
Okay.
pretty much you just input, it says the date of inspection, you just put it in, and it says what it was for, the failure, and it says the time frame.
Shouldn't be.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't think.
that's another, that's already being discussed, so.
Okay.
So, another issue I got.
Keep yourself out of trouble anyway.
It's not an issue, but it's a question, because I know I think you've spent some time, with it. Bristol Aggie, at the farm stand is selling chicken.
Yeah.
Chicken or
Oh, yeah,
chickens?
Chicken, it's
They
$4 a
sell-
pound. That's what the sign on the outside says.
Wow.
So I know you were looking at the labels and
That's not
stuff for it, but I don't know if they're keeping it in the farm stand. Before I went in, did an inspection and said stuff, I figured I wanted to talk to you.
Way in the,
My guess is they're keeping it up and back and it's frozen and all the rest of it or something. I can't imagine they keep it in that farm stand. But before I go in and start screaming and yelling, I want to know what input you had.
You can't keep anything in the farm stand
I know that.
unless they have.
I know,
proper
but if he
refrigeration.
had some information,
So-
I just wanted it before I went in, that's all.
Oh.
so when I was at the school doing the inspection, they had that, up in the back there, they
Yep.
had that cabin house there.
Mhm.
They had freezer.
Mhm.
And they wanted to, as part of their program, slaughter some of the animals, take it to an approved slaughterhouse.
Right.
And, the animal gets killed there, frozen, shipped back. And so they showed me how they sent it back in coolers, and the only problem I had was they didn't have any,
There's a
didn't-
label,
they
right?
didn't label it, so it didn't say like later on, almost like at Stop and Shop or anywhere, what, cook to 165, refrigerate, so I had to have each thing. And I think there's a copy of that in the file somewhere.
Oh, no, I wanted,
But that was part of their,
Out of the curriculum.
yeah, part of their, and they could sell that out of there.
Right.
Part of their,
Storage,
school food permit.
right, but if somebody's going into that farm stand and they've
Okay.
got chicken in that farm stand, it's a big problem.
Yeah.
But if they
Correct.
say, all right, well, the chicken's up in the back, we'll go get it, or follow us out to the
That's
back
right.
and we'll give it to you.
The
or-
farm stand, we never busted their chops for because it was only vegetables uncut.
Right.
Once they break that cycle, once they start putting jams out there.
Right, no,
cut
right now
this.
it's just, you
Yeah.
read the list and it's all vegetables and then chicken, $4 a pound.
And
Yeah,
eggs,
that-
and eggs is fine.
And eggs,
Eggs is
yeah.
exempt.
So then that's when we have to
So I'm gonna
intervene.
stop in and I'm
Yeah.
gonna find out how you buy chicken, so.
Yeah.
Okay. The only other thing, I don't know if I sent it to you guys or not, Strawberry Fields is a 40B that's coming into town, and I wrote a review letter. They've reached out to the state for a letter of eligibility. I think you guys saw the letter before when I did it for the planning board, open space subdivision. I've tweaked the letter now for our comments for the letter of eligibility, which determines the lot count. And I've got some issues that you've seen before, basically water table is the big one. But we're also charged with stormwater, so I've got issues with some of the detention basins being close to the tributaries, to surface water supplies and that kind of stuff. So it's a broad spectrum letter, cause all they got right now is kind of a sketch. And, but the selectmen have to send out a letter by certain dates, like the 21st, so I gotta get them this so they can move it on.
I read it, I think it's great. You should, but
It's the same letter I wrote before, I just tweaked it for the
Yeah.
selectmen, but I gotta get that letter out, and if there's something anybody wanted to add to it, shout it out, and I'll put it in there. Did I send it to you guys? Did I not? Oh, I sent it to you for planning board, I think, not for this,
I think so.
so.
I would just say, as long as what you're citing is not any more stringent, so it's, if you're saying catch basins, they're that certain amount of feet, whatever it is.
Right, I'm basically saying you can't have a discharge towards the surface water supply because stormwater management says that.
Yeah.
I wanna see a separation from the basement floors to water tables, because I don't want some pumps discharging in the road, cause your lot's only 5,000 square feet, you can't put a system in the ground on your own property to input if you're pumping the sump pump out, you'd be pumping continuously, and then there's no place
You're
to
gonna
put
be
it, if your
pumping on
ground's
somebody
flat, you're in the
else's
water
property.
table, right.
But what I'm saying is, as long as you're citing more of what it is and based on opinion. 'Cause
Well, I don't
I'd have
have-
to really review this whole thing again.
Yeah, but I don't have facts. All they've submitted is a sketch showing a roadway layout and
Yeah, or you can say
92 houses.
based on what you submitted so far.
Yeah, I think I started
Yeah.
with that based on the plan.
I'll be fine
so-
with it, just,
but- So I
just stay away from, I think you should be more of this.
Yeah, I don't think I
that,
used
you
the
know?
word think.
No, I'm just saying.
I don't-
I think
I'm an engineer,
You
but I
read
don't
that?
think.
before, yeah.
yeah, it used to be.
Yeah, I know.
Used to be an engineer. I think that was all I had. Is that all I had?
Yeah, the thing with the inspections, you're on vacation? You were on vacation,
Yeah.
looking for an inspection?
Oh, yeah,
Car show.
yeah. The Tava Taunton Area Vietnam Vets Association is having a car show on July 28th. They were supposed to have had one in June, but they canceled because of rain. They're supposed to have one on July 28th. It's 4 to 8. I'm coming back that day from New Hampshire. We're supposed to go hiking with the kids later, so I don't know if I'm gonna be back by 4.
Yeah, you're
The
on
problem
vacation,
is
you're
they
on-
need to be inspected pre-opening, because this is the first time they've ever done this. The group doing it, it's the first time they've ever done it, so they may have to make some corrections before they open.
Is it a Friday?
It's a Saturday.
Yeah, what time were they thinking?
There may be some, it's 4 to 8, so he said they're gonna start setting up at 2.
Alright, I'll do it. I don't think I have anything
They're
planned.
only doing burgers and dogs. And that's it.
They have like a hand wash station, all that stuff.
I have asked them to
Something.
rent
No, not
the porta potty
not a-
place will rent a hand washing station, but yeah, and they got the porta potty out there, and so we've
Can we
already
make
gone
sure
over the
that-
stuff. It's been
That was another ordeal.
You know,
Difficult.
deal, that's
No-
good.
Difficult.
hostile's not the word. It's the person who's in charge of the event is not serve safe, and he's not educated on what we need to meet serve safe requirements. And it's the first time anybody's ever asked him to do it, so it's confusing. The whole thing's confusing. It's also hit at the same time that Parks and Rec said, look, if you wanna use back here, we have a sign-in form that you have to get the fire department and Board of Health and everybody else to sign, because if they needs to determine your event needs a cop, they need to write that down. And so that came into effect at the same time, and so there was a lot of,
Did they get somebody that serves it?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's
That's
a lot
the
of
person I will talk-
discombobulation but I want the inspection before they open, because I think there might be some corrections
Alright,
involved.
so I would just say if you can, I'll go out there, just mention.
Well, I
the
can let you know if
person-
I'm gonna be back, but,
Mention to the person that's gonna be the serve safe person, that say, make sure you're there, cause Kevin will wanna talk to you.
Okay, we can let,
I'll make sure you
I
have the
know that.
bio before.
Not the person that's, not the
Okay.
manager.
yes, and I've advised him of that, cause I said something about, don't forget to have your thermometer, and he's like, why? I'm like, cause you need to make sure that you're, and I said, your serve safe guy knows all this, he is the one, he's like, well, he cooks food all the time, so.
Well, the service safe guy is there.
I just volunteer for.
No, it's a,
I'm just kidding.
you probably even know him.
Maybe, that's all right. Well, enjoy your vacation, bro.
Well, again, we're supposed to be coming back that day, if it's a rainy day, I'll be, but if it's a rainy day, they're gonna cancel, so.
Well, you might decide to
I'm
stay.
surprised they didn't set an
Yeah, you know what?
alternate date after.
Brother,
the
you're on
January.
vacation.
Right,
Just
don't
stay on
even-
vacation.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming back that day.
Okay.
We have a
It's
house
up- it's
rental
up
that
to
we
you.
have
Let
to
me
be
know,
out by
but
10 in
I'll
the
do
morning,
it.
so.
He'll do it.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Kevin's doing it.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's true.
I'll make sure you
If
have
you don't
that.
do it, I'll do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
enjoy.
Alright,
You deserve it.
that all I got now?
I think.
Oh, we have Jim, look at that.
Oh, hey.
Hey, just in time.
That's right, we're still here.
How you doing? What's up, brother? How you been, man? I've been good, I've been busy as hell. How you doing? Can I sit down?
Of course you can.
This guy's still in session?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Camera's still on.
Yeah,
Say hi.
down.
Hi,
Not
Karen.
too late.
Hi,
All done up there?
Board of Selectmen starting now, so done with the soil meeting, yes.
Was that it?
That's my agent report, yeah.
That's great, thank you. I think we talked about stormwater.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't done anything,
Stormwater emergency prep, there's nothing to report, we just have
Yeah,
it
I
as a
didn't think so.
standing thing on the agenda, so, no.
yeah, we,
Jim and I have to go over some fees and stuff, so,
yeah, all right.
so no, we can skip those for today. You wanna go back to the bills and payroll?
I think, public input with Jim here,
Yeah,
so
we'll
that he
do
can.
public
I have time, you can do your thing.
Okay.
I have time.
We're not at his beck and calling, you know.
Well, I understand that, but
Have you guys met Todd yet?
I try to work on priorities, get people out of here.
No, thank you, though.
Instead of waiting.
Yeah, I've been doing your job for the last few days, so, you know.
All right, who's got the payroll and the bills?
Sorry, with everything I had to bring, I left that folder over there.
Okay.
I have
we'll do it
minutes.
next time.
I have
We have minutes and we have the marijuana,
Yeah, we'll work on it, it'll be like a little workshop at the end.
okay.
You wanna do
What minutes are we approving? I know we've all read them, I believe.
There's a few sets there, so.
Can I just take another quick
Depending on-
gander?
Of course you
Like,
can.
was,
Yeah, which set do you want?
Well, some of them.
They're not gonna do all this tonight.
No. We did all these.
We did.
We've been very busy going through these, and we've got, whatever, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 meetings here.
Let's do
Oh,
those six.
We're caught up.
reasonable.
Let's do 6.
That's why there's no dates on the agenda, cause there were just so many of them.
Okay, I think these were all sent out to everybody.
Yeah.
Like I said, the freight train's starting to get going
Yeah,
pretty good, so.
that's more than half.
Yeah.
That's good. That'll save time for next meeting.
Thank you.
You signing them?
We're saving these for next meeting.
Oh, you're only doing that side.
Yeah.
I don't think we
Fix it
can
out.
approve this yet,
January 24.
kinda still pending.
Oh, the executive session minutes, I wasn't sure if we approved them and I held them, or how that worked.
No, they haven't been resolved, so.
Okay,
You can approve the minutes, they cannot be released as a public record until the matter has been resolved.
Okay.
So they can be approved.
Yeah, we'll do that.
there should be 2 or 3 sets of executive session in there.
Well, we have,
Yeah, just until the matter is resolved
Okay.
in
Should I
completion,
flip these down?
I don't know, I got,
This is January.
unless requested by an attorney.
24th, 15th. They were in order until the
They were in order.
Screwed it all up.
I didn't realize that was actually going the other way, so.
Is any food recalls up to the selectmen?
I haven't, oh. The selectmen want food recall?
Yeah, we had discussed that, so they get out to the public sooner.
Oh,
But
okay.
we're being televised, so, which is good, but they meet since they meet weekly or bi-weekly now,
Just put this behind you.
probably send them to the
Send them
selectmen,
to them also, okay.
yes.
I'm good with all of those.
Cause Karen was getting them, like we were both getting them, so I'm not sure if she's still getting them, but I'll send them. There was only a couple that were
Long time no see, brother.
Okay.
pertaining.
Good fixing.
Yeah.
How about you?
Busy.
Good.
How's he not
I'm just
calling
gonna
me?
mention the dates, cause we've all read them and made already had our comments. Minutes include January 24th, February 15th, regular meeting, February 15th, executive session, February 28th meeting, regular meeting, February, excuse me, February 28th, executive session, and March 14th, regular meeting. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. So I would ask for a motion to
So moved.
approve those minutes.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Okay.
Good job. You need to sign.
Just Tom.
Oh.
But he can do that later if you wanna sign those later, Tom.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I'll be in, I'll probably be in
Separate.
tomorrow to sign them.
We do have some correspondence if you wanna, there's a couple of food recalls, and then we had, beekeepers are looking for the board to, reach out to Pat Haddad's office. So I'm not sure if that's something you guys have done through the other towns, just, basic, well, I'll let you go for it.
In regards to the mosquito spray.
Yeah, mosquito spraying probably.
Yeah, and just that the bees are being harmed, so
They'll
each
kill
one of those is
bees like
different.
this.
This gentleman has reached out to me 3 times, wondering if the board would act upon this.
We put this on the website, I'll read the one I have. As you may already be aware, calls from public health agencies regarding bats and potential human and domestic pet exposures to bats are on the rise during the summer months. The majority of these potential exposures occur in August. This is because attics are the place in the house where bats usually choose to roost and raise their young. After a few hot summer days, an attic can become too warm for the bats, forcing them into people's living quarters as they search for cooler places to roost. In addition, baby bats born earlier in the summer are getting old enough to start exploring on their own. Inexperienced young bats may fly down a chimney, through an open window, or down attic stairs. This may place them in close proximity to, or even in direct contact with people. This is on the website. The only thing, if they get into a room and they may bite a sleeping child and you don't know it, and if you find the bat in the house, try not to smash it and catch it alive, because they need the brain to check for rabies. So that's the only advice I give, and so be careful of bats.
Go back to this one here. I don't feel this board should send something on, as a board. If you feel like you wanna send something individually, I think that's fine, but we're here to protect the public health, and what they're asking. If there was a issue relating to AAA West Nile virus and the risk was extreme,
Okay.
we need to take measures, and that would be very opposite of what they're asking there.
It seems, I agree with you, it seems very extreme that we should go to the state level.
Yeah.
Why instead can't we talk to the local spraying company, which we know individually, and say, here are our known beehives in town, can you just be conscious of that when you're doing your spraying?
That would be.
I actually talked to Plymouth County mosquito control today,
I think
and
they
they
have
they said
signs.
anyone that puts those applications down, I don't know if this is true, if they see a bee, they stop spraying.
Really?
And a lot
They're
of,
supposed to stop spraying, so obviously if they went to my yard and see bees everywhere, they wouldn't spray.
a lot of bee associations, at least in Plymouth County, as like groups or associations, they have little like yard signs that they'll stick out during
Right.
the spraying season,
Yeah.
that says bees here, please don't spray.
Yeah.
And that way they know,
That might be something we can do locally very easily, that we don't have to worry. And plus, they spray at night when the bees are inactive.
Yeah, they spray at certain times, like you
Right,
said,
right.
and,
What it does is limit the use of bee-killing insecticides to licensed applicators only.
which they have to be.
That's what the bill
Already.
is.
Yeah.
but I know like, those mosquito ranges and all those other things, during the day and stuff. But they, from what I understand, if they see bees, they stop.
Hmm.
I think that it's fine on a personal level, but not
Yeah,
as a
I
board.
agree with that.
Yeah.
It's the same letter then, right?
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
That was saved for later on. That.
Yeah, it's acting like the clerk. He forgot he's not the clerk anymore.
Well, he's
Closest.
well,
Do I have to, do I have to change seats now with him?
Yes.
Do I?
No.
Well, you can ask Roz to change.
I'll just pass everything down. I'm just gonna
Cameras
just
over
pass
there too
everything
much.
down.
She doesn't want to sit in. I don't blame her.
We each can have one. There's three. How about that?
I can throw this out there. This is also on the website, and it is regarding e-cigarettes and other vaping products. Over the last few years, e-cigarette use has increased 900% among high school students. The e-liquid contained in pods has a notably high nicotine concentration of 5%. Vaping one pod is equivalent to 200 puffs or one whole pack of traditional combustible cigarettes.
Super drugs.
So if you think e-cigarettes and vaping are safe, then you're mistaken. This article is on the website, town website, if you want more information on it. I never knew that.
I didn't either.
Plus, I saw a report where they're flammable and they're
So,
explosive.
yeah.
Oh.
So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of videos that have been found where they've exploded in people's pockets, so.
Is this even around here?
I'll just go down the line.
Yeah, want me to read this one?
Yeah.
Wishbone salad dressing issues, allergy alert on undeclared milk and eggs in 15-ounce Wishbone House Italian salad dressing. Pinnacle Foods Incorporated is voluntarily recalling a limited quantity of Wishbone House Italian salad dressing, with the health and safety of our customers as a top priority. The recall was initiated after learning from the retail customer that the limited number of bottles were mislabeled. The product contains milk and egg, known allergens not declared on the bottle.
That's it.
I don't even think they were distributed around here, maybe. Anyway, it's something called LL's Magnetic Clay, and it's actually a food bar, it sounds like. Dietary type food bar. It contains undeclared allergens, including almonds, crustaceans, milk, casein, eggs, and peanuts. So if you have an allergy to any of those things, you can return your LL Magnetic Clay dietary bar back to the company. We put these on the website too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so all this stuff is on the website now that we're moving along, and we're supposed to sell.
Nope, these are all done.
Yeah.
These are all done?
Yeah,
Yep.
We're getting caught up.
That's the one I read.
Last
Okay.
one, yeah. Mayflower International of New York is recalling its 4.4 ounce packages of 3+2 soda crackers because they may contain undeclared milk allergens. Consumers who are allergic to milk allergens may run the risk of serious or life-threatening allergic reactions if they consume this product. And anyone who has purchased them are urged to return them to the place of purchase. And they're distributed nationwide.
Nice, thanks.
And this is the last one.
Okay, this is regarding the cannabis or marijuana zoning bylaws, which actually have been approved by the Attorney General. I just found that out. So, the Cannabis Policy Task Force voted at their May 24th, 2018 meeting not to limit the number of registered marijuana permits. The task force feels that the marijuana zoning bylaws proposed by the planning board and the regulations proposed by the Board of Health are sufficient regulatory message. Thank you for all that you do. You are doing a great job, and I'm proud of the work that you have all done. Brett Zagrafis, Chairman, Board of Selectmen.
No, I have the memorandum here from the task force, which is what this is speaking about. I know you said you wanted to do it afterwards, so we'll get
Yeah,
to
we're
that.
gonna talk about one thing here. We're going on to public input. And, I believe, well, actually, I could do the public input too, and we can all discuss it, cause it was brought to my attention. A member of the sewer commission, brought up a concern about, community septic systems. And where does the responsibility lie for repair if they have a failure? And I spoke with Jim about it today, but we can have a quick discussion on it here, and because after we got to talking today, one thing led to another. I just wanna get everybody's opinion on community systems. Now, I understand from what you told me today, 10,000, under 10,000, we own it. Over
It's-
10,000 gallons,
It's under a DEP permit,
DEP permit.
that's correct,
Okay.
right.
So anyway, where does the responsibility lie for repair, if the HOA can't do it? Or doesn't have the necessary means?
Then they need to find funding.
Right,
It
so.
doesn't fall under the town,
Well,
under
here's,
those circumstances.
here's the interesting discussion that needs to be had. Most of the permits that I'm aware of, although I have not read specific language in each of the permits. Some were zoning board comprehensive permits, some were planning board permits. The HOA is supposed to be responsible for the maintenance, upkeep, and repair of that system. In a case where we have 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 houses being serviced by that system, if there is a catastrophic failure, there could potentially be a public health hazard that, if the homeowners do not have the monies, means, and methods, they certainly don't have it individually. So if they don't have it collectively, how are we not responsible to try to protect the health and welfare of the community and the public?
Simple answer, the houses, all the houses are deemed unfit for human habitation, they have to find another place to live until such time that the sewage is put back online.
Well, most likely it's
Standard code,
just,
Yeah,
it's
simple as that.
That's the easy answer.
That's not easy, that is the answer,
Yeah.
that is the code, and that's what happens, it's unfortunate, but that's.
they can prolong it a little bit, pump.
So that
Two-
takes
two
care of,
years.
that
Yeah.
takes care of the extreme.
Right.
But in getting back to what systems are in place to help prevent that from happening, because the last thing I wanna do, and Todd wants to do, is displace 100 families.
Of course.
Is maybe we should, as the Board of Health, reach out to the zoning board and the planning board and say, please inform us what is in your permits to help and protect the welfare of the community based on, the permits that you issued.
Cause some of these must have inspections, annually.
They're supposed to be annually, so that any Title V inspection is within 2 years of any sale.
No, but these larger systems have to be.
They're
inspected.
supposed to be, but Hunter's Hill, for example, we haven't seen a single Title V report.
Cause that'll help us keep fingers on the pulse.
Right.
On Hunter's Hill, is it still under, who's it under right now, is it an HOA or is it still under the developer?
Here's the interesting question which came up today. None of them are under the HOA right now.
That's
They're
what I
all
thought.
under the developer's responsibility. So, because we are starting to discuss the acceptance of subdivisions. The first one, thankfully, does not have a communal system. But there will be one probably next year that we will be looking at. How much money is in the coffers when it gets turned over to the HOA in the town? Cause that system is already 10 years old.
So, I've done it one other time, when it was a system that, if it were to fail, it would have been extremely detrimental to wetlands and other things.
Yep.
So before it was, and this was all with zoning and planning, it really didn't have too much to do with the Board of Health. But when they were in the development phase, they forced the developer to put in an escrow account
That's
that
what
the
it says
Board of
here.
Health had sole access to. No
Right.
one else did, just the Board of Health.
Right.
Whatever the cost or projected replacement cost would be.
So it talks about.
That had to stay there until such time there was sufficient money to do the same in the HOA dues.
Right.
At which point,
Be released.
that still remained in the escrow account. The developer had to request it, and then the HOA had to also send a letter, well, no, it had to all be through attorneys and like that to release those funds.
Right.
And we had to ensure that that money was actually
That's good.
available at the HOA.
It talks about that here, I don't know who pulled this up.
Yeah,
Talks
it's
I mean, that
about
was an
financial
extreme
assurance.
case, and it was
Right.
I wanna say it must have been like $130,000. It was a lot of
The-
money, but it was necessary at the time.
The question that was brought up by the sewer department, I think, bears relevance, because I have not seen anything in writing that depicts what you just said, and I presume you handed up Title V, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and depicts what Title V says. Now, I'm not saying that that's not what we haven't followed it, because we do have consultants and people on the payroll who help with this stuff, but I've never seen it, so I don't know what exists.
I don't think.
Let's say just because it's in the regs doesn't mean it's been.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I don't think we're asking for financial assurance on these shared systems.
I don't know that, right, we, and I think.
It's rare that it ever even is.
Right.
Like I said, in all the shared systems I've seen, and I've only done it once, and it was an extreme case.
We've had a couple, when I've designed them, then the town said, we want money in escrow, and you get a bid, and they say, oh, it's $50,000, and the developer says more, whatever. What we've offered to do in several times, and a couple Board of Health liked it and a couple didn't, is we built the reserve area at the same time we built the active. So all you have to do is go in and turn a valve, and it goes the other way,
I did that
and it's
as
ready
well.
to go. So you
Right.
can't argue the cost of construction, you build it.
That would be a good discussion to have going forward. I personally would hope that we wouldn't encourage communal systems, to be honest with you, but.
DEP likes them,
But-
they're better treatment.
Well, DEP likes them, but it creates a nightmare for cities and towns. So, I thought that when Tom brought this to my attention today, that it would be good that we're 12 to 14 months in advance of when one of them is going to come in front of the town to be accepted, and maybe we find this stuff out, because ultimately, if a problem occurs, it's gonna be this board who's gonna have to deal with it.
Before I forget, part of the stipulations in that escrow was also that the Board of Health could use it for any emergency pumping and any inspections
Right.
we felt necessary. So if you
Right.
fell behind on your inspections, we could
Right.
contract out an inspector and pay them out of your
Right,
escrow account.
right.
No, but this isn't
Which
including.
made them stay on top of it,
Of
because
course
they don't
it
wanna
is,
lose
yeah.
their money.
No, and that's good language.
But the sewer lines are all in public roads presumably, and so the sewer line maintenance would be under the sewer department, I'm assuming. We're talking just about the leaching field here, right? Or the pumps and tanks, but we're not talking the infrastructure in the road.
The way the discussion has taken place, and just so everybody's aware, there's been another meeting that's been initiated where we have a joint meeting between the Board of Selectmen, Zoning Board of Appeals, the Planning Board, Highway Superintendent, myself. I think maybe the Board of Health should be included to that discussion.
Especially this, because now we're gonna talk
Right.
about this.
So we have one that just came up because there's one subdivision that's coming up for acceptance. He's actually petitioned the planning board to have the public hearings to accept the road and then send it to the Board of Selectmen to bring it to town meeting. So I think that we should include this board in that discussion so that we can start the dialogue now early, so that we make sure that we have the basis covered when the time comes.
Actually, we should probably
Which one is,
also invite
subdivision?
the
Which one?
sewer commission.
Right. The one that's coming up is the Pines, which has individual septics on every lot, so there's no communal areas. But it raises a lot of interesting points about, we had spoken with the attorneys that curb to curb will become the public layout. Any infrastructure within becomes the town's. So, if there is a place like Dayton Woods who has, it's a gravity system that goes out into the sewer line and then goes over to the treatment area, then I would presume that we would now assume the responsibility of those pipes. So does that become Public Works, or does that become Sewer Department? So that's a discussion that needs to take place.
Unless you make it so in the planning board and the design of the road, the sewer line is outside the pavement and it has to be running the grass strip down the side so that it's not necessarily under the pavement. I mean, there's a whole bunch, that's why you need everybody in the room.
It becomes part of the HOA. The problem is we're doing a lot of this stuff after the fact. So.
But, right, so you're looking at how do you deal with what you got, and then moving forward, how do you make it not happen
Right,
again?
and we may decide as a group that when you have a situation like that, and I'm just using Dayton Woods as an example, maybe that's a road we don't want to accept. I don't know. So, there is advantages and disadvantages to accepting the roads. But it's an interesting discussion that needs to take place.
So you're saying if we accept that piece of road, if the sewer lines are under the road, we own those also?
Just the
Well,
lines.
can't we exempt them?
We could, everything is open for discussion.
Put this out there.
Wellington Estates,
This could
it's
fall
all
under the
the road.
regulations.
Oh, I already made notes that maybe for shared system, we have some regs for, you know, whether we build a reserve area or there has to be tanks on individual lots, and the homeowner association is responsible for pumping them every year or every 2 years, so you can include a lot of the maintenance stuff.
I would leave it as an option, I mean, and
Well, so
this
this
is for
is for
discussion.
discussion, I just made some
for the
notes to
regs,
talk about it.
But I would say in our regs, we can leave it as an option. You either build a reserve area when you build the system, so there's already a ready-to-go system there, you just
Yep,
put a couple pipes
Flip
in,
a
or
switch, yeah.
switch, yeah, literally turn a ball valve.
yep,
Or, whatever the cost of that system was to put in, you put an escrow account
right.
until such time the
Right.
HOA has sufficient funds to
Right.
properly replace the field or
Right.
system, whatever it may be.
Right. Okay,
Yeah,
I think
and
that's-
that's two good options.
yeah, it's
And
excellent.
it leaves the option, you know, you're not restricting them, say, no, you have to give us the money for the escrow account. You wanna just build the second field right now and be done with it, and you don't have to deal with this escrow account, and leave it up to them.
The other thing you can get
No,
into.
they're already digging, they're already
Right.
building everything.
Right.
Oh,
It'll be
so they're
cheaper
gonna,
for
they're
them.
not gonna wanna do that, cause they lose a couple more lots.
Well, the other thing is when you have a DEP.
No, but they had a reserve
They have-
area.
They have to, they
have
can't
the
do
reserve
it.
area already.
Yeah, but
Yeah, that's true.
the other caveat is if you have a system that falls under DEP jurisdiction, we don't have that kind of control. That's gonna fall under DEP's purview.
Yeah, that too.
So we're gonna lose that oversight allowance if that's the case. And if DEP, like, Board of Health agent says, is pro-communal systems, they're gonna make it easy as they can on the developer.
But developers don't usually wanna go above their 10,000 threshold because it's a whole different world
Yep.
of paperwork and stuff,
Right.
so.
They'd rather put two fields and split it.
Yep.
Right.
than-
Right.
Yep.
Can't you gentlemen in the reg say only up to this amount for a communal system so that we do have control over it? Only up to so many
I don't know
gallons?
if you
No,
can do
you
that.
can't. The
No.
10,000's the limit, so.
I don't know if you can do that. It's a good idea.
But you're saying max it out at 5,000, but then they'd have hardships and stuff, I
Yeah.
think.
That'd
We'd be
a
hard
good
pressed to
discussion
support
down there
that.
then.
Yeah, so I'm gonna ask Kerry to include the Board of Health in the email dialogue so that you can be included.
Very good.
And this will be brought up.
And sewer.
And sewer, right, sorry, sewer, yeah. Yeah, and ultimately, maybe people will decide that it's not a good idea. I think there are pros and cons, and I happen to be pro-street acceptance, but it needs to be a collective effort. It's not just, obviously, it's not my decision, so. I like being in control of our roads, plus it adds to your chapter 90 coffers.
But the roads have to be of a standard that
Right,
the,
right.
you know, cars aren't parking on them and everything else. We gotta make
Right.
sure there's enough driveway spaces for cars to be off the
Right.
road. And there's a whole,
Right.
different aspect of it.
Well, the width of this one is not enough, right? Doesn't meet the,
This particular one that's coming up is narrower than normal. There was a waiver issued for
yeah,
that.
the composition of the road is,
The engineering and the design and the construction of the road does meet standards.
Right.
Actually, both boards that I'm aware of have been very forward-thinking in not granting waivers for road construction. The only subdivision that I'm aware of that might have substandard construction is the one across the street. But other than that, all the other subdivisions were built out with strict engineering specs, so.
wanna hang on to this
I'm gonna give it to Jim.
for future.
Okay, so thanks, yeah, I think
That's
that'll
a
be,
good point.
Yeah, that would be,
I don't really think of that, but,
no, it's one
Until
simple
it happens.
question.
Right.
I know.
One
Yeah.
simple question and expand it into like,
Right,
you know,
yeah.
But like you say, be ahead of the game for the next one as opposed to waiting till 10 years down the road and realizing you screwed up.
Well,
So-
plus, we are gonna have these other subdivisions come in for roadway acceptance, so we need to take this into consideration, you know?
interesting, though, because we talked about that today, putting a bond in place or having something that,
Right. Right,
you know, for repair.
right,
Well, Sunny's Way is almost built out too, right?
there's only 2 houses left,
So they might be coming in before Dayton Woods.
possibly. Good point.
Might not be as long as we think or
Mm.
hope.
Right. Although I spoke to him today and it wasn't.
And do they have any financial reassurance?
I don't know, I
Yeah.
wouldn't have any reason to know that, you know?
I'm just saying if you knew.
Yeah,
So is that something we check with Mary, if there's some
no, that's what the
bond somewhere?
that's what the permit issuer is. First you need to find
sure
out
they
from
didn't
the
think of that.
respective boards who issued the permit if it was required. If it's required, then Mary usually is, being the treasurer, is the bondholder.
I would highly doubt that
Yeah,
anybody has
somebody
ever
thought that.
requested that.
Right. I spoke today with, the chairman that the only one that I know happened is the decommissioning bond for solar systems because I spearheaded it.
Yeah.
But the other ones I don't know about.
So can we call those other developers in and
That
have
would be a modification of permit.
Yeah, they wouldn't wanna agree
The
to that.
only other thing you could come up with is if there was no, it is in Title V, Title V is a CMR that you can't avoid. So if there was no, if the board did not require the surety that, you know, we should have, then maybe we could go after it through Title V.
Because they have to meet Title V regardless of
Right.
anything else. right?
Sounds like we needed a lawyer too there, huh?
Well, we will have a lawyer there,
Yeah.
yeah, we usually do, but,
But you may not be able to get 500,000 for the septic, you might only get a smaller amount, but you
Right.
might get them to agree to set a certain portion of the
Right.
homeowner association fees to the septic or something, but
right,
they can also do special assessments for septic only, that's one of the few things the condo associations can do special assessments for. So,
Right,
but that's a
exactly.
condo association, homeowner associations are different, so that might be, to the attorneys, do we wanna have all condo associations with exclusive use areas, or do we wanna have homeowner associations?
well, we're actually being very proactive, and I commend Selectman Pius, Chairman Pius for bringing this to us, because if this came to a head down the road where we actually had a public health hazard, an assessment spread across even 100 homes for this is an astronomical amount of money. So I don't know if a family, they can't absorb that kind of assessment.
We should ensure that these inspections are getting done.
Right. One of the things that I find.
No, well, all the, like, just see if, like,
Well,
check our
it's-
files to see if,
Yeah.
and contact the owner and say, or the association, say, you have to do inspections.
Right.
Your system said it was required by whatever it is.
Mhm.
Annually, then it went to biannual, whatever it was, you know, we need to see it.
I don't even know if those homeowners associations are established, set up, like across,
But if they're not accepted.
They're
yet,
not,
then-
they're not.
They're not accepted yet, it's still the,
The only one that I'm aware that is in transition is the Pines, because he's getting ready for, to close that project out. So I know that he's been in discussion with the homeowners on the association. They actually have set up trustees on the association.
oh, good, okay.
But none of the others, as far as I'm aware.
Well, I think Waterford has, they're already paying into it, so that one's gotta be set up also, it's still in its infancy, but.
But I don't think there are people who are appointed to the HOA.
No,
Right.
not yet.
That's the difference, because that's when you transition to control by the residents,
Yeah.
when you actually have trustees who are appointed to make decisions.
But like next door, those people, like, they haven't even been paying into it, so they've been there for 10 or 15 years.
Right.
It's not even set
Right.
up.
Right. The only difference is that one, that subdivision is on sewer, so
Oh.
we're,
It's like catch
this
basins,
is,
right?
this is the biggest nut to crack if you have a problem in one of these subdivisions. The other stuff it can be dealt with,
Okay.
you know,
That's
common
not nearly as
areas,
bad.
things like that. Storm drain cleaning, like
That's
you
what- yeah.
said, right.
And that's
But
what we might do,
this-
and not mine, they said, once our road is accepted, we might we're separate from Sunny's.
Right,
We might have to do our own small amount,
Right.
and do the catch basins and all that
Right,
stuff, the
right.
storm drains.
Oh, okay, so
But
there are some
but they
that
have
are
to do
in-
the other part, they have a
Right.
shared system
right.
up the street from me.
Right, so the reason why this is such an important discussion is that we're not talking about a couple $1,000s, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars,
Okay.
so.
Potentially, yeah. Depending on how much of the system is.
Yeah.
Well, as you said, kudos to Paul Jolly
Yeah.
for raising the question,
Yeah.
because
Truthfully,
That's a
I
great
would
question.
much rather prefer the other system be put in, because
Yeah.
then,
it's cleaner.
well, my
There's no
issue
argument about
is,
the
my
price.
issue is, you have it failed, now you have to have the system re-engineered, go through the whole permitting process.
The regs may have changed.
Right. You still have a failed system, so
Pumping,
are they
pumping,
pumping up a
pumping,
storm, or what are they doing?
Mhm.
Then you gotta install the thing, and a system that size doesn't get installed in 2 days.
Right.
I mean, you could be looking at,
Yeah.
over the course of 6 months before this is actually,
Mhm.
whereas if it's already there, turn
So-
and.
The only problem you
wait.
got is people might turn the valve,
Well-
and then you're not aware of a problem, or they split the valves like half and half, and, you know, so.
Well, it can be locked out.
Yeah.
We can,
Yeah.
you know, it can be locked out, so, yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think if this board's willing to be proactive, I think on any system under 10,000 gallons, we ought to think about doing that.
Any shared system.
Shared system
Right.
under 10,000 gallons, right?
Yeah.
A condominium is not considered a shared system, though. By definition. So we may have to look at expanding and including any system over so many gallons for more than one home or whatever.
That
so.
services.
Yes.
More than one dwelling unit.
But they're inspected as
Other
well.
than a duplex, well, I guess they're not over 2,000 gallons a day, so, right, so.
Yeah.
How many homes, well, let's see, my multiplication or division is not good. How many homes would 10,000 gallons accommodate how many homes? Oh, good, you got a calculator.
84?
Bedrooms.
89.
Bedrooms.
How many bedrooms,
Three
three each?
bedroom.
Just say it was three each.
It's
330.
30 houses.
30 houses. Not a lot of houses, is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
4 bedrooms, only 22.
What's up there, no? What's the biggest
I
one?
think
we
an
have?
89 houses, how many bedrooms?
Hard to
That's
say.
what I did.
Well, he's got the smallest system because he's only built out 2
That's
bedrooms.
90 bedrooms.
36 houses under 7.
They're all 2 bedrooms?
Those are 2 bedrooms. They're retirement
Yeah.
homes,
Yeah.
they're retirement homes. He's got I think his leach field's got a capacity of 7,500 gallons,
If
something
it's
like that.
55 and over, 2 bedrooms, 150 gallons a day or something like that,
Yeah.
so it's a reduced amount
Yeah.
there too.
Right.
Yeah, we don't go to the bathroom much.
I'm just thinking that, like,
That's how you take your water
A
pills.
bath once a
Right.
week.
Totally.
Yeah. Watch out.
He used Depends. Sorry.
You can't flush them down the toilet either.
No, don't flush them. Maybe done.
Yeah, that's one clog, I don't want.
What's the matter? Hey, you gotta have some humor in these things, or else it's,
Oh.
I like potty humor.
Okay.
You thought you were the funny guy, huh?
No.
All right. Well, that's good. Sound like a good discussion coming up then.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, 'cause I was scheduled to meet with the sewer commission August 18th, but I think they could raise some questions of their own
Yeah,
as far as.
I agree. That's a good question. Okay, great.
Good stuff.
Teamwork.
It's always something.
Okay. That's good. All right, did, you have copies of this? Did anybody,
I don't.
What do you got?
The marijuana reg.
the recommendations from the
The memorandum?
Local cannabis advisory.
memorandum and the regs?
Okay, memorandum. This is actually an email from.
You want a copy?
Alright.
I don't know if you want a copy. What
No,
you have.
Actually, I'm gonna.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming.
I'm gonna go on to the third shift, all right?
You gonna go visit them?
Alright, this is,
Good to see you.
Nice to see you, brother.
Night,
Yeah,
Jim.
good to see
Good
you.
night.
Good night, everyone.
An
Night,
FYI
Jim.
from her, there's another,
We'll walk up when we're
potential
done.
vendor
Okay, thanks.
that is looking to come into town that would be a bakery. She wanted the board just, an FYI.
Yes, this doesn't pertain to the regs.
No.
This is just retail sales, which the state hasn't even issued any permits yet, so. No rush.
Yes.
I think this is what you're looking for.
Yes.
Freshly baked.
I don't know if you've seen that.
I got all three of them, right?
What you got?
Yeah, it should. an extra
They give you
copy.
extras? Thanks.
Good to me. The issue I have with this cannabis policy task force, to send us recommendations, this isn't from an attorney. These were made by the state, by attorneys,
know,
and reviewed by attorneys, so.
I was thinking
the
of
tread-
that.
They're walking on thin ice. You know, some of the things I agree with, cause it's just some language tweaking, but some things,
Yeah,
like the
I
second
mean,
one
we
down
gotta see
is-
if it's,
But the minimum legal sales age is a state age, right? So like
Correct.
changing it to 21, that means we're establishing, but if the state makes it 23, we can't be 21. So I think that's why the lawyers wanted language that would just mirror whatever the state had. Is that why, like, some of the, like what you're saying, that the lawyers did it a certain way?
Yeah, I mean, like, statement of purpose and authority, that was all spelled out by the CCC and DPH.
well, what do you wanna do? Let's go one by one.
Right.
Section A, paragraph 2, change use to individuals under age 21, you're just talking about that, right?
You can't, I don't think it's necessary.
Either do
I mean, this is a general, like, just statement that you're,
Right.
nobody's saying
the health is trying to protect the youth.
Oh, so that's, okay.
I agree.
mean, we're
about
not
that.
specifying age 21.
I don't think we need to specify. What if it goes up?
Right. I mean, it's,
So right now it's 21 regardless.
Oh, it goes down. Went down to 18 once.
I heard.
I don't know if you were born yet.
Nope.
and, same thing with the next one too. It's just
Local fee requirements.
that
Fees are usually
regulation
done
allows
separately.
us to set regulations and a fee. It's not saying that the fee's in these regulations, it's just that particular
Yeah,
CMR
same.
allows us
Right,
to
fees are
set
usually
the fee.
separate, right, yeah.
Correct.
So basically, I guess for Roz, for doing the minutes here, are we gonna go down these and decide, yes, we wanna make the change, or no, we don't? And like,
Yes.
kinda say individually, okay.
Yep.
You have this? Yeah.
Well, there's gonna be a permit fee.
Yeah, we have to decide.
Right,
on
but
that.
that's not part of the regulations, but in this, because this is the purpose and the authority, what gives us the authority
Yeah.
to do what?
Yeah.
The CMR gives us the authority to make regulations and set a fee.
Set a fee, yeah.
That's all that's saying, is
Okay.
that, and then our fee will go in the fee schedule, because then if we wanna change the fee, we don't have to go and reopen and re-advertise and have a whole new hearing, we just change it in the fee schedule.
I already know who did this. Section B, definition of adult-only retail tobacco store. This came out of the state, right?
All these definitions are from the
Yeah.
state.
Adult retail tobacco stores, 18 and older, so obviously, it's in here because you can't go into, somebody that's 21 can't go into.
It's listed as minimum legal sales age because the state may be changing the next couple of
Yeah.
years to 21. So you-
That'd be
again,
good
you
for
don't wanna
everyone.
be tied down
Yeah.
to 18, cause then it changes, we have to go back and redo all our regs again.
Correct.
Due to reference in item 12 under section D, what is item 12?
Yeah, something's, doesn't seem to line up here with, like, there's things that don't seem to be where they say they're
What's
supposed to be.
12D?
It's like somebody had an old version of the regs that they were looking at or something.
I don't see a 12D, do you?
It's not I see D
It's
12,
there,
it's
but
D
it's-
12, but it doesn't say adult anywhere in that.
No, I
It's
think
all
they're
related
confused,
to
cause they're
the
talking about
marijuana
retail
stuff.
marijuana. I think they're thinking that in adult-only retail tobacco store, you can actually sell marijuana, you can't.
Right, but they're saying it's referenced in D 12, but I'm not seeing it in D12, the word adult isn't in there anywhere.
No, they're just in reference to,
Well, they want to know if the definition is here because it's
Oh,
referenced in
because it's-
D12, and it's not in D12, that's why I'm saying, and then you get into
I
the
gotcha,
next
I
one
gotcha, I
about,
gotcha.
was it the third one, next one, minimum legal sales age, definition, but I don't see that under the definitions, so I'm like saying confused.
Yeah,
Like I say, it's like somebody had an old version or something, because it's not lining up.
could be.
Oh, it is D12, not 12,
Yeah.
12D.
They did,
I don't
the
quite
Board of Health,
understand
the
it.
Board of Health agents should be capitalized.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
That-
All right,
yeah,
that's the
that's a
change.
typo, that's a typo, it's okay.
Alright, so we're skipping, go back up to the first, the other previous bullet about the adult-only retail tobacco store.
Yeah, I'm not trying, I don't know what they're trying to do.
I don't know what they're asking.
And my guess is they like, why do you have a definition if it's not anywhere else in the regulations? I think that's what they're trying to get at, is why, if you're gonna refer to it here, why aren't you referring to it under C, section C or D or I or whatever, like, you have a definition, but you never use it. That's all, I think is what they're trying to say.
Could be.
I think it's irrelevant.
Yeah. From my speaking to Cheryl Sabara from the state, she had said, cause we wanted clarification on something like that too, she said that.
No, it's here, it's in here, under marijuana accessories, it says marijuana accessories as defined herein shall only be sold in marijuana establishments and adult-only tobacco stores.
So you're on J,
Yeah,
okay, and they were saying D12, but you're
Yeah,
on
I don't
J,
know why
so-
it's
Where does it
D12.
say on J?
J.
all of J, almost towards the end, it says
Yeah, it's
adult-only
mentioned in
tobacco.
J, marijuana accessories.
So we need to keep the definition.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, alright. Okay. That's what the typo,
you want it,
Yeah.
you want it underlined, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Do we need to respond to this in writing to whoever wrote this memo? And does the Board of Health need to respond, no, we're not changing it because of, you know, this and that, and like, and do a response? Or are we just changing our own regs based on their information?
Well, this is
I think
what
we
they
should take it into
sent.
consideration, though.
Yeah, just
Like, that's the email that,
it is capitalized.
Yeah, but they say Board of Health several times.
so this was from Brett.
Board of Health agent is the second paragraph.
Yep. Second line, Board of Health, which may include Board of Health staff, and those aren't capitalized. So I believe that's what they want the BOH capitalized.
Yeah, which is fine,
I don't think it needs to be.
I think it does.
yeah, I believe it does.
Are you highlighting that?
I'm just looking for a highlighter,
I
I'm
am.
like, did I put a highlighter?
Well, I was,
Are you already doing it there?
yeah,
Oh, super.
I can't find a highlighter, but I can find a red pen.
If you're doing it there, we don't need to do it.
I was doing the minutes for us since she didn't have a copy. Do you want
Now,
to
now you
respond?
may want if they're using the same one. Where is Board of Health agents not capitalized?
I think what they meant to say is under the definition of Board of Health and Board of Health agent, the words Board of Health need to be capitalized in both of those words, in both of those definitions. The B and the H
Okay, at the end,
and agents.
first sentence, Board of Health agents,
Yeah.
okay.
That's what I think they meant, I don't think it
Mhm.
came out that way in what they typed.
Okay, yeah, I see it.
Section B is true and it actually needs to be moved before operating permit holder.
Where are you?
The next one thing.
Minimum.
Definition of.
But where is that definition?
If, go to operating permit holder, and
Yeah.
the second line up says minimum, it was a definition that, when I was probably typing
Oh, I
and moving
see, I
stuff
see, I
around
see.
and like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
it somehow, I gotta underline it, space it and move it above
Oh,
operating
I
permit
see
holder,
it.
so it's in alphabetical.
Yeah, okay, this goes up here, nice catch,
Did I send this to you yet?
right there.
Probably not.
This is a separate, definition.
Yeah, I
save
don't
it?
remember.
Would you have saved it?
I would
Damon?
have.
I have it,
She-
so
she- you
if
saw
you want,
it?
I can make the corrections and resend it to you.
Yeah, it should have been,
Okay, alright, that'd be
yeah,
awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
above that one, okay, yeah, I get it. That was a good catch.
Mm-hmm.
Section D,
Somebody's paying
item eight.
attention.
That's really,
Yeah, but there's no file here.
there's nothing in it.
No, it's a PDF and then this link. And marijuana info.
Actually, if you wanna nitpick, it should be issuance of a marijuana, it's number 8.
Yeah, they're just wondering what the clarification is. So assuming that they did deliveries, and I know that's been a discussion, right now the state is not allowing deliveries, but it's been discussed. We would have the authority to like, just do a random, be like, oh, you're going out to a delivery, we're gonna go and see how you do it. So that way it doesn't, our inspections aren't tied specific to their
the
retail
location.
location. I think that's the purpose of it. So that way we can check, make sure that they're checking for IDs or whatever, assuming the state allows it. Right now they're not, but it's in discussions. I think
So we're
that's the
skipping
thing.
that for now?
I would, yeah.
No, are you doing the response letter? Did you say you were gonna do that?
I'm gonna retype this,
Okay.
and I can type something that, you know,
Discusses all.
Why we changed what we did, and
Yeah.
why we didn't change what we did.
yeah.
Okay.
We capitalized that, thank you.
Capitalize that. See this here?
Yeah.
So do
This
we,
should
do
just
we
be
wanna?
A, issuance of A,
I don't-
not and.
The next, so section D, item 10, added provision that prohibits renewal of license of any tax owed to town. I wouldn't add that into number 10, I would make it another number. So we have 13, so I'd make it like number 14 or something like that.
Yeah, that way they don't have to renumber everything.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't,
So you wanna
We
make?
have that.
But
for-
actually, it comes right under the, when it permits expire anyway, which is a beautiful
So you wanna
spot
make
for it.
14 about taxes being paid?
yeah,
We have that for other stuff?
that's pretty standard across the town.
Yeah.
So do we actually do it though?
Oh, yeah. Somebody owes
In
us
town?
money, they don't get
Oh,
permits.
yeah, you,
Yep.
when the permit renewals go out, the tax status form
'Cause
goes with
some towns
them.
are a little wishy-washy
They can't
on
get a
that.
building permit, they can't, yeah.
Alright, yeah, cause like I said, some towns are a little, even though it says it, they're a little, they don't really do it.
We're
yeah.
enforcing.
That's good, as well, so then we're consistent, okay.
Yeah, so that's okay.
We can change number 11 to age 21, it's not really makes a difference either way, but change it.
11. But again, do we just wanna line up with the state, and if they change the legal age to 16, 18, or do you just
No.
wanna leave it at 21? So
There's
even if the
other
state changes
references to
18?
21, so that's fine, we'd have to change it
No, this
anyway.
isn't as bad as a bylaw, because we can change it at a meeting.
We could, this one's.
It's gonna
be a
reg, right?
This is a regulation,
Yeah.
it's not a bylaw.
Right. Yes, that's fine, and there's other references to the age being 21, so it's, doesn't really make a difference either way, but.
And they said you
fine.
should have this in place before you come up with a host agreement.
Yeah, the bylaw,
Yes. Okay.
section K, item 2.
Oh, 500.
So we're at 500, they asked me.
But
We
the bylaw
were-
was 1,000?
Yeah, I had changed that to make sure it was going through a town meeting first before.
Okay, so it's gonna be made 1,000.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why that was not changed according to, so change that. I think we actually talked about K4.
Were you at this meeting?
No, we talked about having the Dayton Police
Oh,
review
yeah.
the security
Were
plan.
were you here when they did that?
No,
You didn't get invited again?
no, of course not.
Are you not on their mailing list?
So nobody from the Board of Health was at this meeting?
The last email I got from them was in April. And that, I had been
kidding.
left, I had been left off almost a month of the emails prior.
You had
Can
mentioned
we
that.
find out why he's not getting email notification
And I haven't gotten
of meetings?
anything, I think I got an
The
email.
one that's writing them up,
I got an email on Monday that that was forwarded, it was all like forward. It was an email forwarded to me from Mallory. Oh, we have a meeting Thursday. Well, you decided this 3 weeks ago, but you're telling me 2 days before?
Now, I know
Sorry.
in your computer, if I go to look up Matt
Ridiculous.
Tanis,
Yeah, I mean,
there's
that
another,
makes sense.
there's like a
Thank
Mark
police
Tanis, like an
department.
MW Tanis or something, which is different
MW
than him,
is
so I'm
Matt.
wondering if, or then there's an M Tanis in there too. So I'm wondering if maybe that's somebody had,
Oh,
that's
maybe.
like a Mark Tanis or something, cause I went to send an email from her computer and it came up as like this Mark Tanis, I'm like, who's this? Because you have to go MT to get to you, but for him it was like MA, you start typing Matt in it, or, cause it comes up on.
When I first started emailing him, some guy was getting it.
Yeah, that's what,
And he let me know, he said,
wrong person?
it's not me.
Yeah, and I don't know why that's in
It's
the
MW
computer.
Tennis, right?
Yes,
Maybe this is the reason.
that might be.
That could be. But yeah, I do agree with the section K
Police
four.
department? Yeah, it makes
So,
sense.
well, do we wanna say Board of Health and Police Department?
No,
Just the Police
I don't.
Department? But the Board of Health is.
And in conjunction with the police department.
Right, because the police department has to report to us anything if we're the ones issuing the permit. It's not a separate permit from the police, right?
Right. I'm just gonna, I would leave it as in conjunction with the Dayton Police Department.
That's K two?
Four.
No, four.
K four.
Yeah, it's perfect.
So you wanna add in after Board of Health in conjunction with the police
Yeah.
department.
And I do agree with the next one too.
made a shell. Oh, yeah. Section K five. It does say shell.
Oh, mine said tonight.
Mine says shell everywhere.
K.
Oh, at the end, last
Yeah, I think
sentence.
I might have gone through, cause again, we had talked about making it a lot of those maize shells, and I probably just missed one.
So K five is being changed
Well, I
to
don't know
shall.
about that. What if we find it doesn't require, what we're saying is, once we have a hearing, we're gonna suspend your license anyway,
Guess we're on L2.
right?
What are we on?
Are you on L two or are you K five?
K item 5,
Educational materials?
no, I'm sorry.
May require.
We don't do sting operations, we do inspections, so that's
Let me look at it.
getting out of line.
Maybe I was looking at the wrong one. Mine goes from 5 to 7.
Okay,
5 to 7.
go back. Talking about this one right
Oh, this one.
Yep.
Oh, you're on L maybe?
So it says may.
Oh yeah, there is
yeah.
no
Not
6. That's funny, it does go 5, 7, 8.
We're changing that to shell, okay, I got you now.
Periodic sting operation, don't you wanna call them compliance checks?
Yeah, which, that's what's in there. Unscheduled compliance inspections.
Yeah, it's just, no.
Right,
yeah,
we
sting.
don't do sting operations, sorry.
Just-
You
even
wanna
when
do
we
sting operations?
When we do the
We'll give
tobacco,
you an
when
old
we do the
sedan,
tobacco with the
give 'em
youth,
the back with
it's
some donut
compliance
coffee.
checks, we
That
issue
is
a
a,
permit.
that's a
and see
compliance
if they're
check, not a
compliant.
sting operation.
That's funny.
Oh my god.
Who can tell us?
They think
Alright,
we
I
are.
gotta change the number in.
Police department.
Board of Health is all about
Yeah,
getting
we're gonna do a sting
compliance.
operation.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing is
That's
compliance.
hilarious.
This curtain's for you, Rocky. Oh my god.
Alright, section M.
It's time for this meeting to be over.
Yeah, we'll get tired.
Yeah. 2.5 hours.
Oh, variances and.
I actually
Sorry.
struck this from
What, all of them?
my, number 1.
A variance from the regulation may be requested in writing?
Actually, yeah, it might have been actually been all of. Because we wouldn't be issuing any variances.
So then 2's gotta go too, cause it's limitations on a
Yeah.
variance, so
Yeah.
just striking all variances?
Yeah, 'cause we won't allow variances on a.
The zoning board would have to be the one to do that.
Yeah,
They'd have to prove
but
a hardship,
not for us,
so.
right,
Yeah, why would they need a variance from us?
yeah.
Like, what would they say, we wanna do less security, I don't know, what I wanna do.
No, under N, if any provision of the regulation is declared invalid, should say the remaining provisions shall not be affected? Because that one that was declared invalid is still invalid, but the rest of
Oh,
them
yeah.
are still okay, right?
So make,
Remaining provisions shall not be affected, yeah. Instead of striking them all together, I can just write variances, and variances, one, no variances will be granted.
Well, if somebody wants to write to us,
They can
we
request
we can
a
always hear
variance.
it.
Right. They would have to have a real unique
Yeah,
situation.
depending on what it is, they could just bring it to us, and if it seemed to, whatever, okay, well, it's your hardship, and.
So then I would leave one and just put a variance from this regulation may be requested in writing to the Dayton Board of Health, period. Two, the Board of Health may impose any conditions, safeguards, and other limitations on a variance when it deems it appropriate to protect public health, blah, blah, blah.
Yes, I've.
So we would just strike a variance may be granted, actually, no, we could leave, a variance may be granted by the Dayton Board of Health after a hearing,
Public hearing?
after a public hearing, period. And then strike the rest.
And then obviously we have, authority.
Well, I think you
to
still
impose
need B though.
conditions.
B would have to stay about granting no way impair public health, public safety, or the environment, I think can stay.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
losing the manifest unjust part, I think would be.
Okay, so we'll just strike A.
So you could say after a public hearing, which time the applicant establishes that the granting variance will not in any way impair the public health, public safety, or environment.
What are you thinking, Tom? Obviously, we wanna impose conditions.
well, I think they have the right to go for a variance under the zoning board for setbacks and distances and all of that.
Right, so what can we grant variances from? But the thing is, once you grant a variance to one person to allow 10 doors out of the building when only one's allowed, then you have to open up that door for everybody to allow.
That's the thing is, you wanna hear what they, it's not like you wanna shut the door and say, oh, no, we're not hearing anything.
You can say no.
I think
But
it's,
you,
I think it's their right to a hearing.
Yeah.
Right, I agree.
You have a right to appeal.
But there should be a separate fee in the fee schedule for if you want a variance, it's an additional $1,000 fee or whatever, because you need to notify the abutters and run it in the newspaper and everything else, cause it's a big deal.
They would, that would be part of the
That's what I mean, the fee
hearing
schedule,
request,
right,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So there's nothing in here about public hearings and that kind of thing, right? If
No,
somebody wants
so
a
you said-
marijuana license, it's a public hearing.
So you'd set the fee and then you can put a subsection under that, if a variance is requested, the applicant shall be responsible for all fees incurred for that public hearing.
But if I wanna open a business in town and I meet all the regulations, is there gonna be a hearing in front of the board, or a public hearing, or just an application
No.
for a permit that gets approved?
Application
Okay.
for a permit to be approved.
Okay.
And that, and each permit would be in front of the board at that time.
Cause I
See,
can just
this
see
is-
people
Like a new
freaking out
food
that they didn't know that
establishment
there was a
comes in.
manufacturing,
But see, we're only,
Mm.
this is just for a retail store, and this is essentially like a tobacco permit. So they still have to get their approvals and everything from selectmen, zoning, planning, at which point then there would be all public hearings, stuff like that. Like, once everything's ready to go, hey, we got all our approvals, this is where we're gonna go, okay, let's see, what other permits do we need, you know?
Right.
So they will.
They still
arrive-
need a site plan if they're gonna have parking for cars
Right,
and all that.
and just like if they sell edibles, they need a food permit.
Okay.
So
And then
our
grease traps and make sure,
permit as we draft it, cause we won't have one of that, or our application as we draft it will incorporate some kind of a, I don't wanna say a sign off, but a checklist, you have to do X, Y, and Z when you submit this to, okay.
What did, I'm trying to think, when I went to the seminar in Taunton there at the hotel, Cheryl Sabara said, you need a food permit in this instance, but you don't need a food permit in this particular instance.
Oh, because it's medical brownies. If it's a
Oh, the
medical
medical, you
brownie,
don't-
there's no food
yeah,
permit,
you
even
don't
though you're
need
eating
food.
it, it's
Right.
because it's medical, we can't
Yeah,
touch
you were
it.
there too,
Yep.
right, yeah.
Medical's off limits.
But as soon as it's recreational, then they need a food permit because it's food.
that's when we'll do our inspections.
Crazy, huh?
Yep.
So the idea behind this is, you'll make the changes and we'll send it off to the
I'll
town
make
council?
the changes as we just discussed and
we'll
Yeah.
review it and make a, maybe,
I'll make the changes, I can send it to Roz or Todd, who can send it to you if you wanna review it, and then we can vote to send it to town council, and if town council approves it, then we can go ahead and have it advertised.
Well, do we have to send it back to the cannabis
Task force.
task force for their?
No, it's only recommendations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then after that, maybe
Which we
when,
did just about all of them.
yeah, when it comes back, then we set a fee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta do a fee schedule, yeah.
We'll have to talk about, cause we
Only
talked about
going
4
for
inspections,
those.
right?
Yeah.
So we'll have to
That's
talk
a lot
about
of
administrative and
inspections,
4
yeah.
inspections and come up with a fee.
We're gonna need an inspection checklist.
But it cannot be deemed excessive, so,
Yeah.
I think,
has to
I
meet.
think 500 has been a reasonable number.
Yeah, 'cause just the 4 inspections alone, you're probably talking close to $350, $400 probably by the
And
time they're done.
administrative. So somewhere between, definitely anything over 1,000 is considered excessive.
Yeah. It's gotta meet the, it has to be justified.
Right.
You can't just come up with a number just cause you came up with that number.
$1 million.
And again, if we were to get a retail establishment,
Whatever.
and they were to be permitted, you know, through these regs, and
That's good.
after a year you say, hey, you know what, my inspections, I'm in there for 3 hours each time, we could always revisit the fee and say, hey, we
Yeah.
can't, sorry.
We didn't realize it was
Yeah.
gonna,
Right.
Could crank up the fee.
I've
Alrighty.
had enough, I don't know about the rest of you.
Yeah,
But I'm going home, even if you wanna keep the meeting going.
I do not agree.
yeah.
Are we done?
Yeah.
Good.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Gable. Thank you, everybody, for watching tonight.